Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox!
Megan Fox!
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat shit, Tucker!
And that was your last.
God damn it, Nick! I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
Oh, I can explain the bed thing. A nest in one of my penthouses, and I had to pry a steak. It's like Jesus going into the temple. He's like, I got a whip! Get out! Get out!
I would have thrown them all off the balcony.
Megan Fox.
She's the devil. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
There's something about the way that you say my name. Make me forget everything when you call
Megan.
me.
Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a bitch like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy shit. Holy shit.
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But
You've pissed off the wrong woman.
Oh my God, I have been assaulted. What are you gonna do when Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother?
She's the devil.
Not for publication. Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox has the story.
I'm Megan.
Megan.
Megan Fox.
Thank
you. Cheers.
Well, look, bitch, you're not serious either. You didn't even do the paperwork in time.
Let's try that again. Good morning. It would help if I unmuted my microphone. What a boomer move. Look, it's been a long week. Christmas is coming. I'm still not finished with my Christmas shopping, and I gotta, this is it. This is the last live stream before Christmas break, and I'm going to sleep, and I'm going to shop, and I'm not going to think about any of this online crap. I gotta tell you. All right. Are you getting your rear view mirror video ready? So for those of you who may have missed it, so the locals family and I at meganfox.locals.com, we're watching Casey Anthony, or we just finished it last night at movie night, which was a whole heck of a lot of fun. And if you want to join us over there, it is very easy to do. You just go to meganfox.locals.com, sign up. It's $3 a month, only until January 1st, because then it turns over to $5. And you can get it for the whole year at that low price with promo code PANTS for a free month, and you can watch movies with us. Anyway, we just finished up Casey Anthony last night. And during this movie, this documentary, they have the most ridiculous camera shot. It's of her constantly being interviewed in the rearview mirror. So she's looking in the rearview mirror. The camera is somewhere in the back seat, filming just her eyes in the rearview mirror. It's insane. So I told the chat that was there, if you send me a video of you doing this, telling a story or something in your rearview mirror, the best one is getting a free signed copy of one of my books, book of your choice, because I've got them on order. They should be here by January 3rd. So send me those videos, because I want to laugh some more at rear view. It was so somebody last night goes, we could all be documentarians. So that's what we're doing here today. We are revisiting the Casey Anthony trial. Now, I did not realize the Carrie Lake's trial or whatever hearing was going to be happening live right now. So we're probably going to be missing a few people because they're over on Joe's stream watching that, which does seem interesting. I mean, I almost bailed on this stream so I could go over there and watch that. However, if you are going to stick around here, we're going to watch George Anthony's testimony. And Larry Forman's going to be here. He must be running late. Let me see if he's if sent me something. Oh, he's having technical difficulties. His camera's freezing. That's okay. He'll be here when he can. So Larry Forman, DUI Guy, is coming to hang out with us and watch George Anthony's testimony because we're still trying to figure out what the heck went wrong in this case. What went wrong? If you're on Rumble over there, make sure that you hit that Rumble plus button. Don't be shy. Smash the plussy and make sure that you get that shared out as well. I didn't even post this on Twitter. I haven't even been doing that. Like my Locals family pretty much takes care of it for me, which is great. The Locals live chat is also open. If those of you who are on Locals, you can get into the live chat there where you can send memes and links and everything. Yeah, Boomer says they overcharged her. That's what went wrong. Yeah, I believe that they overcharged her as well. Spirit Matter, the deadline for the rearview mirror video, let's just say after Christmas. Like, we'll deal with this after Christmas. I'll give you guys another warning. Because seriously, if you have not seen Casey Anthony, Where the Truth Lies, you could go to, here, I'll show you the rearview mirror. I'll show you what it looks like. While we're waiting, we might as well go do that. The behavior panel has done a great video of, analyzing her behavior. I love the behavior panel. I think they're great. Hold on, let me pull it up because I was actually planning on showing you some of this today anyway. So why don't we just do it now? Wow, that was loud. Okay, hold on. Oh, the behavior panel is so great. Share screen. Is my light low? I feel like my light, yeah, I had it turned down low. Let's turn it up. I turn it down low when I do streams at night because for some reason by nighttime, I just can't handle it. Haha, look who's here. Larry Foreman,
Hey.
how are you?
Good. Sorry about the delay. I was having some technical difficulties. I had to
It's okay.
restart my camera. I know that sounds weird, but actually I have I don't have a camera yet. So I use my cell phone, and there's this really cool app called IV Cam, and you can just hook up your PC to your camera either via USB, which is better because it's a more secure connection, or through Wi-Fi. And it just kept glitching on me, so I had to restart my phone, restart everything. And
I am so sorry. I hate that. And it's always the same, isn't it, with tech support? Well, have you tried restarting it? That's always the answer. Unplug, restart. And I've been having similar issues. I had this stream with Nick last week where he did this with me for Casey Anthony opening statements.
Yeah.
And my Wi-Fi just completely tanked in the middle of our stream. And it went down
It's the
for...
worst.
Oh, it's worse. So thank God Nick could take over the stream and just like do it himself. But it was terrible. It was terrible. And
I know the feeling.
I'm in the process of making Spectrum wish they never met me. So I told my husband I'm going to ride them harder than any board member I've ever ridden in my life. Spectrum is about to find out. They have fucked around long enough. They are about to find out.
Fuck around, find out. Just like Elon Musk, a fefo.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know about this. I don't know how much you've been paying attention to what I've been doing because I don't expect anyone is doing that. But I've got a lawsuit happening. This is my fuck around and find out lawsuit with Robert Barnes. There was a school board in Wauwatosa who fucked around, and they're about to find out because Barnes took the lawsuit. They stopped me from speaking, Larry. They took away my right to speak. They said, and I quote, "Her comments are not in alignment with the dignity of the board."
The fuck is that? What's it? The board has dignity?
A school board who, by the way, had just voted to show second graders graphic photos of genitalia. Okay. Like
Ugh.
these are people who are, and then it turns out they're being sued. They were sued in November. I just found this out. They were sued by a fellow board member in November for fabricating results of a poll that they took in the community about this curriculum they were going to implement. So the community actually voted no, and then they screwed with the results and made it look like they said yes, and then they passed it.
Oh, for the love of Benji. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness going on with the schools and like trying to sexualize kids. It's weird. How old are you, Larry?
I am 34.
So you're young. So when you were in all these youngins, gosh, all, I'm surrounded by young people, which is wonderful. So when did you graduate high school? That would have been
06.
2000. Yeah. Okay. Were they doing this crap to you in school? Were they putting in these? So still they weren't doing it then. So you weren't having
No.
like this
Thank God.
outrageously graphic sex ed.
Well, hold on. I almost finished high school in Cleveland. So I was educated up north, thank God. No offense, Kentucky, but your school system fucking sucks. With the exception of like a couple of private Christian schools. And as a Jew, I would be like, I'm so out of place. I still can't like function. So for me, being educated up north, I went to Mayfield Heights High School my freshman, sophomore, junior year, and I regret absolutely nothing. It was like the best school. And I remember I still, like to this day, I was 16, I think, in my sophomore year of high school. We took a health class. One semester, I think it was a year, because high school, you don't really do semesters. Some high schools do, but most high schools are like, you do end the semester, go on winter break, and you come back to the same class kind of thing. My health class, I quote stuff from it to this day of like how much I learned about cancer and sex and drugs and just everything. Like, and of course, experimented with every single one, like every chapter throughout my life. No, I'm just kidding. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Right?
Thank you, Health Education Department, for introducing me to all my vices.
I had no idea this was a drug. Like, thank you for letting me know. Now I'm gonna go try it. No, our favorite. This I'll never forget this. I can't remember what day it was. Obviously, this was like 18 years ago, but there's this very famous day in health sex ed portion of our health class that when we covered, it's called Banana Day.
Oh God, I remember
probably already
this.
guess what it is. Yeah, it was the old video from like the 80s that they never changed, and it's like 2004.
Banana Day,
and it's still the same video from like 1982.
Oh God,
and it's this dude, and he comes on screen and he's like, this is a banana, and he holds up a banana and like slams it on the table. This is a condom, and he slams that on the table, and then he unwraps the condom and he starts pulling it on the banana, and like, this is how you put a condom on. And we're just like, we're 16-year-old kids. We're just like, oh my God, this is happening. Like, and then there's like a cut scene to another video. Again, I'll never forget, of this woman, and she's like, ladies, if a man ever tells you that he is too big for a condom, like his junk is too big to fit or whatever, she unwraps one and starts rolling it on her fucking arm and her fist, and like rolls it down like all the way down to here before it doesn't even snap. It's all the way down to her elbow. And she's like, if he's bigger than this, he's got bigger problems to worry about than a condom not fitting on him. So it was like the best day ever. But that was like the most graphic we got, and that was only one day. Everything else was like, we learned. I remember one of my favorite days, surprisingly, I don't know why, etched in my memory, was learning about mouth cancer. Ooh. Like chewing tobacco and like cigars, stuff like that. And they showed us videos of these individuals,
people
who
without
had, like,
jaws,
half a jaw missing. It's like, oh my God, I never want to
touch
this
box,
stuff.
The voice box thing.
Yes,
I remember that too. You know what sticks with me from those health and safety things, which is weird. But to this day, I guess it was traumatizing. They showed us a video of a little kid getting hit by a school bus because they didn't walk out in front of the bus. Like, when you
I don't
go to
remember if we've
cross the
seen that.
bus, when you get off the bus, you're supposed to walk in front of the bus so that the bus driver can see you, and then you
Yeah.
walk across. And I get in this particular one, the kid went before the driver could see her, and the driver runs her over. I swear I never looked at a bus the same way again. I've always been terrified.
I remember
But
those commercials. Those were commercials, weren't they? Like look both ways before you cross or whatever.
I don't know.
And like
But
this
I do
person
remember
steps
them
out into
showing
traffic
us
and the
this.
car just boom. It's like,
My
oh, that's
husband
nice.
my husband one time saved a woman from getting hit by a bus in Chicago.
Oh
So
wow.
she was walking down the street with her head in her phone, and
Mm.
she had come up to the curb, and he was behind her, and she was stepping off of the curb without looking, and there was a bus coming at full speed, and he grabbed her from the back and he threw her on the ground. Well, I mean, he pulled her back and she fell down on the ground. But the bus went right by at, like, 40 miles an hour. And she was crying. She was like, "Oh my God, you saved my life." He was like, "Yeah, stop looking at your phone. How about stop looking at your phone?" He's probably lucky he didn't get charged with assault, I guess.
Yeah, these days, like you assaulted me. Like, no,
Yeah.
dumbass, I saved your life. Assault, call the police.
I know. Yeah, there's been some bad things out there that women should not do, like accusing people of assault when they're trying to help. But I watched you during the Johnny Depp trial. I thought you did excellent coverage. Excellent, Larry. It was just so good. And
Thank you.
I loved watching you. I loved the information that you brought to the audience was just fantastic. So much better than what is offered to us from the media of people who go into the courtroom, sit there for an hour or 2 hours, and then write something, and we're supposed to believe it's true. Whereas you guys were in there all day long, bringing people actual information, especially the jury information. That was game changing, Larry. I really think for court coverage, what you all did with giving us jury information and reactions, facial reactions of the crowd and whatever was fantastic. What was that like for you?
Well, I wish I could have told you that I am some prophetic genius who like saw into the future and was like, I am going to like earn my strut. No, I wish I could say that. I always tell the story and it's boring and dull, like how it actually went down until it went down. I was watching, so I was on Nick's stream on his channel when he was doing live coverage of the trial.
Mhm.
So I was there when Johnny Depp was testifying on direct during the plaintiff's case at the end of April, and then a few witnesses. And then, of course, Amber Heard takes the stand on May 4th, I believe, and then testifies the entire day on direct on May 5th, which is ironically my birthday. And I always like to joke around that that was the best birthday gift I think I've ever gotten in my entire life, because up until that point, like May 4th, May 5th, leading up to May 3rd, it was still a question. You know, the world was kind of like, well, did she or didn't she? Did he or didn't he, abuse her, and how much and what and if? That we didn't really have her on the stand in front of a live camera in front of millions and millions of people and millions of eyeballs. And after she testified, 4th and 5th of May of this year, much like the rest of the world, we all kind of started scratching our heads. And in the beginning, people were afraid to say, collectively, they were afraid to say, like, I stand with Johnny Depp. There were isolated pockets and there were supporters, but people were still kind of hesitant. But after that day, people started becoming more confident. They're like, well, who do you support? Like, who do you believe? Johnny? Oh my God, me too. Like, and we were like, oh my God, are we siding with a man? This is horrific. Like, people are not going to look at us the same. And then we realized, like, the rest of the world is having the exact same feeling. And so there was no court on May 6th. That was Friday. And then Judge Escarati had a judicial conference the following week. So court was not going to resume.
That was so nuts. That
May
was so
16th.
crazy. We had that break right after that dramatic testimony.
Right?
I hated that. I couldn't take it. I was like, how many more days until I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't remember the exact day. I couldn't tell you. But if the court resumed on like I think 17th was the Monday, I think maybe around the 12th or 13th of May, I was like, you know what? You know what would be fun? I should just go and like for a day, sit in the courtroom. I'll have a story to tell. I'll come back and be like, yep, I saw him. He was right there, like 15 feet away from me. He waved at me. I waved back. I was like, hi, Johnny. And there was the bitch, and she was there too, you know. And like I could say that. I wanted a story. That's the only reason I went initially. And when I posted about it, like May 14th, let's say, a couple days before leaving, I noticed in the comments section where I announced this, because this is before my Twitter days. I had like 800 followers on Twitter at the time. It took me, I always like to joke, it took me 11 years to get 800 followers and 1 week to gain like 1/8 of a million, which is all true.
Wow.
And again, very unintentional. And I will get to that. I will get to that. So anyway, I find out that Runkle and Law and Lumber, who wasn't even known as Law and Lumber then, he was still Rob. I think he may have created the channel. I take it back. I lie. I don't know. I think it was like, but he had it for like a week and a half, literally. And he posted that one video about the bed.
Which was amazing. That's so good.
So he and Ian and I individually, completely independently of one another, I didn't know about their existence. They didn't know about my existence. And all of a sudden the internet was like, dude, Ian and Rob are going to be there too. And Larry is going to be there. Ian, hey, Larry's going to be there. And we all like kind of collaborated. And so I drove on that Sunday, the 16th of May, I think it was, hoping that I would be able to get some sleep in, because I go to bed, it's like 6 p.m. I'm woken up by a text at 9:30 from Ian. Larry, get your ass over here now. This is 9 p.m. the day before.
Oh, no.
12 hours from now, Judge Escarati is going to enter the courtroom. I'm like, I like grab everything. I jump into my car. I'm like, fuck sleep. Who needs sleep? I need to go. I show up. I am number 82 out of 100.
Wow.
At like 10:30, I think it was. We reached 100 people. It was a circus, but we won't get into that. That's I already talked about it. Let's get to the real good stuff.
Yeah.
So the following day, you know, I ended up not sleeping at all, which was difficult, but I made it through the day. Ian and Rob were both sitting there we're all wearing our suits, you know, we're with our notepads. They're with their notepads. I did not give a shit about taking notes. Okay. I was not interested. I wanted to observe, absorb, and like interact to whatever capacity I could and learn. Well, they're taking notes. I'm not. And nobody was tweeting this stuff yet. Nobody was releasing this stuff to the public just yet. But the next day, something happened, because I was like not planning on staying, but I decided to stay because Amber Heard was on cross-examination at the end of Monday for like 2 hours, and she did okay. But then when Camille finished for the day on Monday evening, I realized that we're going to have a full cross-examination, because I was hoping for a cross-examination on Monday. And I'm like, I can't miss Tuesday. Tuesday is going to be 100% cross-examination, maybe redirect of Amber herself. I can't miss that.
No, you couldn't have. That was the best ever.
And that's when Nurse Liz started the sheet of like line sitters. And we had line sitters for me, Rob, and Ian, because we were the three that were there at the time. This is the second to last week of trial, May 17th or 18th, that Tuesday. So I show up in the morning, and there's this giant cluster of people. So I don't know what happened, but what I later learned very quickly, actually, is that there were like 30 line cutters, possibly more that day, because Amber is on the stand. And they were, and we all know Amber stands are nasty, disgusting people. It just, we saw them.
Yeah,
we
they're
saw
awful.
them during the trial. Like, we interacted with them. There were few and far in between, but they were just like attention seeking at the cost of dignity embarrass the fuck out of me. I don't care, you know, flicking off the camera and like just record me. Hey, look at me, I'm a meme. Oh, how cute, I'm a meme. My finger and my face are now public. Sweet, I made it. Like, are you serious? There's no winning with these people. You can't like embarrass them into submission because they're like, I'm popular. Look at me. Oh my God. I'm like, you're an idiot, but whatever.
Pretty much, yeah. Her stands are pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah. So thanks to about 30 of these fuckers, I was able to get in because I got there first, I guess, and I was able to secure in that cluster, there was a gentleman who took over from another girl who was there, who should have been taken over by another person, but they never showed. And God bless her, she never left until he showed up at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And we like took a photo, we took a video, because I was live. You know, I have a weapon I've learned during that trial. My weapon is this sucker right here. When I go live, people respect the authority of the internet. People do not want to, for the most part, except the Ember stands. Like the majority of people respect the fact that this is being broadcast and they don't want to publicly embarrass themselves. And so I used it to the maximum of its ability and for good, of course, not to abuse it. And so, you know, I thanked him. I took his spot. I was like number 20, thanks to him. So I secure my place in line. And Ian and Rob show up and they get their spots. And we have these two people who have like the stickers, you know, we had like a sticker system and everything. And I can't remember. They were like number 73 and 74. Well, ended up turning into 112, 113, which means they didn't get in. And the night before is when we met James from court. Back then, by the way, believe it or not, he had no social media at all. No Facebook. Well, I shouldn't say that. He may have had Facebook, but it wasn't like public. He had no Twitter and he had no YouTube at all. It was actually us who tried to like convince him to. I was like, dude, you gotta. And then everybody like agreed with me. So I'm like, this is a golden opportunity. Why wouldn't you? And so I ended up getting in with James and we sat next to each other in that infamous spot.
Yes.
You can see the entire courtroom from there, okay? And your face is on camera. It's a win-win. Like there's no loss
great.
there.
We were always pointing you guys out I covered it live too. So I was always like, oh, there's Larry. There's Ian. There they are. we had a great time following you guys. It was fantastic. It was so good to have our own people there. That's the thing, is that like you don't get access to, you know, NBC reporters or whatever. But when you've got people that you can actually, you know, email and say, hey, you want to talk about whatever, you were there today. It's great. It's just great to have access to people who are just normal people in the courtroom.
Yeah. And we were sitting, you know, the first day that we were there, we were the only like 3 men in suits in the courtroom. And that's when I like to remind people that, because this actually happened. Look, I know all you have is my word, and you can ask Ian, you can ask Rob. They may or may not confirm. I don't know if this is something they want to admit anymore, but we got the up and down fuck me eyes from Amber. That happened. And it's, in hindsight, it is completely logical and reasonable because there were no tweets yet. There was no YouTube content from either of us yet. And we did not shit on her yet. She didn't know who the hell we were. She sees 3 well-dressed sugar daddies, potential sugar daddies, sitting on, remember, there's Johnny's side and then there's Amber's side. We're sitting on Amber's side.
On her side.
Because, again, she's not thinking, oh, they have the best vantage point. She's like, oh, they finally came for me. You know, like, that's probably going through her head. I'm not like a stranger to, I understand her trying to get in her shoes, you know. And before lunch, she was like, oh. And then like after lunch, she was like, avoid eye contact, because she learned who we were.
Oh, that's funny. Well, and I imagine that she does that. She uses that part of her, you know, her sexuality and whatever, to get a leg up with any man around her. Like that's how she manipulates people. That's what she does. That's how she gets the hangers on and all the, you know, the good stuff that she gets. She manipulates people through her beauty and through her sex appeal. It's clear that that's what she does. So I would not put that past her for a second. That's how she attracts people to her. Was she very attractive in person? Did you find her, magnetic?
No. When I just remembering that feeling, I'm getting the same cold chills.
Shivers.
I got cold chills running down my back when she looked at me. It was like icy hot. Imagine having like an icy hot patch down your spine, top to bottom. That's what it felt like.
That's the witchcraft. She's into witchcraft.
It was just.
She's got dark energy.
As an empath, I felt her energy, and it was just so vile and negative. With Johnny, it's the complete opposite. He looks at you, you feel warm, you feel warmth, you feel like a cuddly hug, like a very. I don't know. It's just.
I believe that. You can feel that through the television. That's no joke. This is why I had a very hard time believing, even when this all first started, before this trial started. I've actually been on Johnny's side for quite a while. When the tapes came out of the finger and the fighting and all that, I was like, see, I told you this bitch was no good. And because Johnny just has always had that warmth. He's always had that comes across. And I just didn't believe that he was a wife beater. No, I never believed that. Hey, by the way, chat, if you want to come in here and complain and stuff about me, and you want to ask me stupid questions about whatever drama, there's a $10 minimum, and then and then you can ask me. But there's a $10 minimum. So if you're just like typing shit in the chat, I'm not even going to see it. I'm not even going to see it. But if you want me to read it and respond, there's a $10 minimum. Just saying. Any criticism whatsoever, any bullshit you want me to address, $10. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
I love it. Unapologetic. You want to fuck with me? Pay me money. I'll fuck back. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do wrestle.
But pay me first.
Pay me first. I love it. Make it 20, says Helene T. She's like, why are you so cheap, bitch? Fucking make it 20. Make them work for it. Make them open their wallets.
We did 5 yesterday. So I'm increasing in increments. We're going up slowly.
Nice. I love it.
This is my grift, by the way, during the Johnny stream. See, I made mega pints. It says, isn't happy hour any hour? And it says mega pint me and justice for Johnny on the back.
Very cool.
Yeah, we had a good time. We had a great time. So, when the big thing happened with the TMZ reporter and your face and all that, we loved that so much, Larry. We laughed so hard. And the thing that killed me about that even being any point of contention at all was that when you watch the tape back, literally every person in the whole courtroom, including Ben Chu, all of their faces are the same. Everyone went, like everyone. And just because you were straight on camera, that's why your face was out there. But everyone did it. The fact that, and I remember saying this on the stream, and those of you who were here watching it, we were like, no, this is stupid drama. Everyone on earth at that moment did the same face. You could not have stopped yourself if you tried. It was such a burn. It was so good.
It was the most epic nuclear bomb comeback I have ever seen in my life in open court.
It was great. And including Elaine.
Elaine. I was just about to say, if you look at Elaine's face, she was like,
yep,
like this. Because she realized she just fucked up.
The judge didn't say anything that I remember. I don't remember the judge saying anything to the courtroom. So she wasn't upset by any of it. And Judge Karate, by the way, one of the best judges I've watched in any of these live streams. I enjoyed her so much.
So agree.
Especially she had such a long-suffering attitude where she was trying to be as fair as she could. And she's just a pleasure to be. I can tell that this is a woman who is a pleasure to be around. And it was just nice to see it play out in court. Some judges, you don't get that.
No,
Judge Schrader seemed a little on edge. Although he was hilarious. Don't get brazen with me. I love that. I love that. That was fantastic. But Judge Penny Ascarati, I thought she was fantastic. Just throwing that out there.
No, she absolutely was. And if whatever happened in that courtroom had any effect, let's say, right? I always like to say this, on me or a reflection of me. Why did they let me in the following day?
Yeah, no, nothing happened. Nothing was wrong. It was all a bunch of garbage, a bunch of made up drama. And none of it was okay. I thought that was the lamest thing I ever heard. I watched the Legal Bites nonsense when that happened. And I said on the stream, I said, this is dumb. She's dumb. And this should stop immediately because this is stupid. Anyone would have had the same face. I just don't believe for 1 second that even her sitting in the courtroom wouldn't have gone or put her hand on her mouth.
Have you watched her live stream? They all had the exact same reaction I did on their own stream in that second.
I never watch her streams.
Well, I'm just saying, it has been clipped. It has been clipped. That's the only reason I've seen it.
Yeah.
But the karma is real. Let's just call it that. So I want to go back to Tuesday of Amber Heard's testimony. So this is before TMZ. TMZ happened the following week when I came back. But this is how this was the beginning of the end, if you will. So Rob and Ian don't get in because of fucking line cutters. And it's me and James against the world. Because we are in a sea. I'm not even joking. This is 100% true. 98 either women or gay men there to support Johnny and to be there for Johnny. No one is taking notes except James and myself. Because now I'm like, well, Ian and Rob were taking notes yesterday. I wasn't because I didn't care. How about I take notes today and then I can share them with them at the end of the trial. That way they haven't missed out on like the jury's reactions and stuff. I'll go over there. We can stream together, have some fun. That was my original idea. And James gracefully shared a couple of pages from his notebook with me and gave me a pen and his computer, I think, as a hard surface for me to write on. And I'm taking notes, watching the jury, taking notes, watching the jury. It's about 10:15. We take our first morning break. And right before the break, and this is where it was the beginning of the end, the moment. I have an epiphany. I go, wait a minute. I remember back in the day, this was maybe 7-8 years ago, and there were multiple instances of similar events happening. Do you remember those people on Twitter who ended up going viral because they would be sitting in a restaurant and there would be like a couple breaking up in the booth next to them, and they would live tweet what they're saying to each other?
Yeah.
For example, right? Or I don't know. It's like live tweeting live events as they happen in the moment.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute. I can do something like that with this jury. This should be fun. Maybe people will enjoy that. I go.
It was fantastic.
The break was very short. You only get 15 minutes, and we have to get from the 5th floor to to get a signal.
Yeah.
You have to go from the 5th floor to the 1st floor, out into the courtyard, and stand in the middle of the courtyard because the building is like a fucking.
So is there like all
bunker.
these people like gathered at the same spot there? Were there a bunch
not
of
at the
people?
time, not yet, but eventually, yeah. That's exactly what ended up happening with Farron and
funny.
Ian and Rob and Joe and me. And we're all like, I'm on Emily D. Baker. They're on Nick Rekieta. Everybody's like having a good time. Everybody's like walking around like, I got to get a stronger signal. Hold on. Let me go over here, you guys. Can you see me? Can you hear me now?
That was
Can
funny.
you see me? I'm glitching.
It was so good.
And I'll never forget. So I started tweeting this stuff on Tuesday. And I went live in the evening, and then I drove to Virginia from Kentucky. It's a 9-hour drive. So I was driving on my way back, and on my way back, I look at my Twitter, and I went from 800 to like 27,000 followers in 6 hours.
Wow.
And I was like, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah, I think I'm onto something. Look, there was the jury being, unavailable to the public was really a point of contention for people. Like we're just dying to know, like, what are their reactions? What are their faces showing? How are they behaving? And then like you were there to answer those questions, and it was just exactly what everybody wanted.
And I didn't even know. I had no idea that this is what the people, and once I learned and I realized the explosion of this information, I immediately called Rob. I said, dude, you guys, I'm not going to be in court tomorrow. You guys are still here. I got to go home. I have plans Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got to work. I have stuff to do. I can't be there in the courtroom, but you two are still there. I think Ian was leaving like Thursday. Rob, you're there. I'm like, dude, you got to do this. You got to go. This is a gold mine. Harvest it, mine it, get as much out of it as you can. You got to do this. And they're like, okay, cool. Thanks, man. We'll be right on that. And they did. So, when they started doing it, and this is not something you like calculate. It just happens to you because my DMs also exploded. I had like 3,000 messages in my inbox from 0 to 3,000 in like 5 days. It's Saturday, Sunday, and I'm just going through my DMs. I can't read all of them. I still haven't read all of them. I can't. There's just too many. And I'm like scrolling through, and I'm like, there's a very universal message that keeps repeating itself. Larry, where are you? Larry, why are you not in the courtroom? Larry, are you coming back? Larry, are you going to do this again? Court is resuming Monday. And I'm like, okay, I think the world is speaking to me.
I think the world wants me there.
So I ended up going back that Sunday. This time I flew. I was like, I'm not messing around. I flew. And I brought T-shirts with me. The what, if anything, with legal tube on the back. I was just giving those away to people. So 25 or 24 of those were given away. I believe Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez have one of those shirts because one of the fans who was in the audience and got a few shirts gave them to them. And I think the stenographer, what was her name? Jen, I forget. I have her business card. I think she has a shirt too. So somebody, I think, tried to give Elaine a shirt, but she wouldn't take it.
They tried to ruin that poor stenographer's life. That was something. I mean, amber stands are terrible people just in general.
I mean, look how they've been trying to spin the narrative that the settlement negates the verdict.
Oh, that's so
Are you
insane.
Fucking kidding me.
That's so insane. I saw lawyers saying this, and it's like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. It in no way negates a jury verdict. It just renegotiates the amount of money that is going to be passed from her to him.
And it settles the appeal portion, not the district court portion.
No. And also, here's what I didn't understand in the settlement. It did not address Johnny's payment that he was supposed to give her. Did they just wipe that out? Because he was ordered to pay her $2 million.
Did you see the press release from Brown Rudnick?
I did, but it didn't seem to address that part. It was just she's giving him $1 million. Did I miss it? I read it, but I didn't. I guess maybe I just scanned over it.
Maybe I messed up. Maybe I hallucinated it.
It's possible that I hallucinated it. I haven't seen anyone mention the jury verdict against him.
Let me see. Clear throat. Under the terms of the settlement, Hurd's insurer will pay Depp $1 million, which he has pledged and will donate.
And will donate. I loved that part. Which he has pledged and will donate.
That's such a jab. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
And it precludes each side from filing another lawsuit. We are pleased that the jury's and see the magical language. The jury's unanimous decision in favor of Mr. Depp and against Ms. Hurd remain fully in place, and the payment for $1 million reinforces her acknowledgement of the legal system's rigorous pursuit of justice.
It just doesn't mention the verdict against him at all.
Well, it talks about it, but it doesn't say about it going away. You're right. You're right. I did hallucinate it.
That would be weird, though. But no, if he settled for $1 million and still has to give her $2 million, that would be weird.
No, it's not. And this is something that is so difficult for lawyers like myself, because for us, it's second nature because we do this for a living. You know, when we negotiate plea agreements for our clients, either in the criminal or the civil sense, if it's a monetary judgment for a car accident, or if it's a guilty plea agreement in exchange for dismissal of some of the charges, like we'll dismiss the DUI if you take the failure to provide, your license to the police officer the day of, or something like that. Those undo, like they change the course of the current present. But the problem is, and this is what even lawyers apparently seem to be struggling with, as we saw from some of the tweets, when you are in litigation, okay, you start off on the pre-trial level, okay? Settlement, this is what people don't realize. Settlement can come literally at any moment.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah.
Up to, well, I'll get there. I'll literally get there. This is going to be very comprehensive. For God's sake, somebody clip this, because this is extremely crucial stuff. I'm not even joking. So you start out, you file a complaint. When you file a complaint, one person files a complaint against another. Johnny Depp, in this case, files a complaint against Amber. She could have settled right there, literally at the complaint stage. It was filed. She files no answer. She says, here's how much do you want? I'll give you $5 million and call it a day. Sure. Why not? If he would have said yes. You can settle it at the complaint stage. You can settle it after the answer is filed. You can settle it after the discovery is being done. You can settle it after discovery is done. You can settle it all the way up to a minute before the jury comes back with a verdict. I've seen it happen. I was
actually thinking it might happen in that case. I was actually thinking after the jury went out, I thought, if I were her, I'd be settling right now. I would be settling because none of this went in her favor, and I'd be very worried if I were her, and I would have been settling right then. And I think she could have settled for a lot less than what the jury came back with.
And she did anyway later. You're right. Yeah. Well, she used the appeal as leverage. So after she lost, there was no more settling at that moment. At that moment, there was no more settling. The jury came back, the verdict, it's over. The other side has zero desire for negotiation. One side has 100% desire for negotiation. The other has zero. When you're at 100 to 0, there is no negotiation. Then she files her appeal, and she fell down to 95.5. And as the appeal progressed, the desire to settle for both parties started equalizing more and more and more. And when you settle on the appeal stage, which happens very rarely, extremely rarely, this is actually an exception. Most sides want, once the side that appeals, that's the side that does not want to settle. It's the appellee usually that wants to settle for minimal. It's called nuisance value, for like nominal damages. I'll give you $5,000 just to go away or something like that. Because you lost on the district court level, let's say, because for the appellee, they won everything. They don't care. But the appellant is like, well, give me something. Like, all right, here's $5,000 just to prove to shut up and go away. In this case, it's a little different, but that's like a more typical scenario.
Do you find it kind of surprising, though, that she wasn't given any terms of, not a gag order, but NDA, promise not to continue defaming him? She's claiming she can say whatever she wants and is signaling that she's going to continue defaming him. She immediately said that she's a victim and she stands by everything she said. I was a little surprised by that. If I had settled with her after winning such a huge victory, and I think she would have lost her appeal, I would have made her sign "I will never talk about you ever again" statement.
Well, look, it's difficult to enforce those. It's very unconstitutional to restrict one's First Amendment right to such a degree. I feel, and this is where people are like, are you sure Johnny won? And I'm like, yes, because his name is vindicated.
Yeah,
and there's nothing that she can say now that will change that fact.
Yeah.
She can continue saying it. That's the problem. But there's another kicker that people seem to forget. And I tweeted about this. It's the pick your battles idea. If, let's say she continues, right? She does it once, which she already did. Let's say she does it again. And then a year from now, the New York Post writes an article quoting her, how she still has not, whatever. And then she writes a book, and where she continues. Well, at that point, even though there's a clause in there that they will not sue each other, there is an argument to be made, and potentially we'll have to see. The problem is we don't have a copy of the settlement agreement yet. I'm trying to get my hands on it. I'm hoping it's going to be included with the dismissal paperwork for the appeal that was going to be filed tomorrow. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to include that, because that's really sensitive stuff. That's extremely sensitive stuff. But it's also extremely crucial for us to know exactly what's happening if they're going to share it with us. And I imagine it, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe at some point it will eventually leak out, hopefully. Because at this point, it may not even be, well, no, I shouldn't say that. No, it probably was signed on Monday. It must have been signed on Monday. Otherwise, it wouldn't be announced. So it's signed. It's out there. And I really, really, really hope that we get a copy of it with the dismissal paperwork tomorrow, because that will open the door for us to analyze exactly what's written there. Because the one schmuck that you're talking about, that was like that tweeted about her, and he's the forefront. I forget his name. He does some IP law stuff.
Well, yeah, we were all making fun of him. I don't remember.
Whatever. Who cares,
Whatever.
Honestly.
Who cares? He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not even
really
a lawyer,
doesn't.
and I read that and I went, "What kind of bullshit is this?"
And people are hanging on to that, especially in her camp, because that's the kind of language they want to hear. But here's the problem: he makes an extremely grandiose assumption in that tweet. If you remember, let me see if I can pull it up here. What is the assumption?
It's a ridiculous assumption that somehow it negates the jury verdict, which is like, what? And a settlement on an appeal in no way makes the jury decision moot. That's crazy.
I don't know if I can share my screen. I'll show you what I mean.
Yeah, you can.
Here we go. Can you all see that? Here we go.
Yes.
The last post of the every settlement. This is what he writes. Every settlement contains a release of liability. That is a huge assumption of fact and objection not in evidence. Objection speculation. Objection foundation. Objection lack of proof. Because none of this exists potentially. And if it does, there is 0% chance that Johnny would have signed off on the negation of a jury verdict just to dismiss the appeal.
Yeah, no way. And him saying it supersedes any previous rulings by judge or jury, that's not true. Not any rulings, just the monetary. That's it. Just the monetary award. That's the only
appeal. People seem to forget that. Two things are killed with the settlement. Her appeal gets killed, so does Johnny's, but we're not really counting that because he doesn't give a shit about that.
Yeah, because he doesn't care, right?
Her appeal is killed completely. It's dead. So her saying the jury got it wrong, she's like not saying that anymore. She's basically admitting the jury got it right. So that's number one. And number two, it changes the monetary value of the jury's verdict. So those two things are changed with this agreement. It's a quid pro quo. You give up something for something, because both sides, you can't have a contract without both sides agreeing to something. It's not like, hey, I'll give you $10 if you do absolutely nothing. That's not a contract. That's not a valid contract.
Yeah.
You got to have, I'll give you $10 if you say some nasty things about me. Oh, okay, now you say nasty things about me. Now I owe you $10. That's a verbal contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this case, here's the problem. You, Johnny, gave up 9.35 of his verdict money in exchange for her dropping her appeal. Or you can say it the flip side. Amber Heard dropped her appeal in exchange for Johnny releasing 90% of the monetary value that she owes him.
Right.
So
right.
that's
Julie,
what contracts require.
Julie always killing me right now. She said when my nephew had the talk at school, he came home and at dinner said, Gordon from the health department said, I'm going to get hair on my testicles. Hysterical, Julie. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, this is watching the Amber stands like try to turn this into something good for Amber is silly. Johnny is going to be forever vindicated as far as I'm concerned, and I loved your coverage. Have you been did you follow the Casey Anthony trial? We probably need to get to that because I promised. Did you follow it when it was on?
I
No,
was I was with I was in law school. I think it was 2012, right? The trial?
2011 maybe. Yeah,
11?
around then. Yeah.
So I had even less time. That's when I was a first year law student. I was buried in books, and I know some of my colleagues followed it. I didn't care at the time. I didn't follow it at all.
Well,
I
we
just
have
know
been.
like that she got acquitted, even though there was overwhelming evidence of her guilt. But I guess there was enough reasonable doubt that she was the one who did it,
Yeah.
even though they found the baby in like her trunk or something.
No, the baby was found in the woods.
In the woods.
The trunk was supposedly smelled like death, according to her father, who was an ex-cop. We've been watching this ridiculous documentary on Peacock, where she is now blaming her father, George Anthony. She's telling people that George Anthony is the one who did this. She's intimating that he's a child
boy.
molester, that he suffocated the baby and then dunked her in the pool to cover it up, and then showed her the body and then took her away from her. And no one called the cops, though. She didn't call the cops. This is her news story. So I was telling, this is the behavior panel, and I was telling the chat, we've been watching this together on my locals. And if you guys want to subscribe over there, it's meganfox.locals.com, and it's super fun to do it. Go subscribe. But there's this hilarious camera angle where they're trying to just amp up the drama, and they film almost half of this documentary of her in the rear view mirror. So I was going to show a little bit of this because I challenged my chat. If you send me videos of yourself telling some sob story in the rear view mirror, I'm going to give the best one a signed copy of one of my books. Because this is the dumbest documentary film style I've ever seen. Let's watch a little bit of it.
And I know people are going to question, well, why didn't I make a phone call?
Don't copyright strike.
Out of the ordinary during the 31
But
days.
I don't, listen, YouTube, if you're going to copyright strike me for playing the behavior panels video and commenting on it, you're just a bunch of cucks, and I will fight you to the death.
She just seemed like her totally normal self.
She seemed absolutely fine.
Like the happiest person.
I couldn't show.
Here we go.
That
Here's
there
the
was
rear
anything
view
going
mirror.
on to anyone else.
They filmed like almost the
All
entire
of the
thing
photos
like
that people
this.
see of me out during those 31 days wasn't out partying. You don't see drinks in my hand. I was there actually working. I was there helping Tony promote.
But you weren't going through the cycles of grief.
No. During the 31 days, I genuinely believed that Kaylee was still alive. My father kept telling me she was okay.
They film like the whole thing like this. It's absolutely absurd through the.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, it's like, I get it. I know what it is. I can tell you. Psychologically, because this happened like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, she's looking back into the past.
Back into the past. That's what I said.
It's a psychological movie, like filmmaker tactic.
But it's dumb, and it looks
is.
ridiculous, and like it looks like they just cheaped out. Like they just didn't have the budget to film correctly.
It does it?
And it just looks so dumb. I mean, yeah, what is DUI Guy's take on psychic dogs? It's very important for this. This is true. The psychic dogs came up in Jose Baez's argument. He said that the prosecution used psychic dogs.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me grab my tinfoil hat real quick. Hold on, I'll be right.
He said that he called the cadaver dogs psychic dogs.
I mean, look, say what you will. I was at the Ruben Flores trial in California, in Salinas. They used cadaver dogs, 4 of them actually, in that trial, in that case, excuse me, and that was brought up in trial. I don't know. It sounds like it had enough, at least as a bit of evidence, to influence the jury because they convicted Paul.
Well,
They
it's
acquitted Ruben,
inexact. I mean, in this case, the dogs hit on the trunk in one instance, and then on the second go round, they didn't.
Oh no, that's in that case, all 4 dogs on 4 separate occasions hit. Only the 4th one hit the hardest because they like either removed the mattress or put the mattress back. I can't remember. It was something changed between dogs 1, 2, 3, and then dog number 4.
Yeah. So in this case, though, Jose Baez had a point.
But they were not psychic.
They're not psychic. He called them psychic dogs, though.
That's stupid.
But it was
That's fucking
funny.
dumb.
No, it was very effective with the jury because he basically was
Really?
making the prosecution look totally stupid by saying
Yes.
they relied on psychic animals. Like they thought they were communicating. They were communicating with dogs. And then he would
Bring
say,
me a bone
well, I can't put the dog on the stand.
and a doggy snack.
You said things like, we can't hear from the dog. We can't put the dog on the stand, the psychic dog. You just have to believe that the prosecutor's experts communicated with these dogs through ESP. Flurple, thank you, says, I just love you in the chat and always have such a good time here. Yes, we do have a good time. And the people who are here trying to derail that time, well, they're going to have to pay to do that. They're going to have to pay me. Actually, there's nobody here doing that today, which is great. All right. So today's goal is to watch George Anthony on the stand because this is the man she says killed her daughter. She says he's a child molester, that he molested her. Let me catch you up, Larry. This is the story that Casey wants us to believe. Her father started coming in her room and doing all the bad things to her between the ages of 8 and 12, and then he stopped. He never did it again. But somehow he was doing these bad things to her, and she said over and over and over again. And then when he stopped, the brother starts coming in the room at night and not graping her entirely, but she says it was close enough. So now we have a father and a brother taking liberties with this kid, supposedly. This is her story. Back during the trial, she wouldn't tell anybody who Kaylee's father was. First, she told one man that he was the father, and then a paternity test proved he wasn't the father. So she misled someone for like over a year about his paternity. She now claims, this is a whole new story she's made up, that she was gang raped, and that's how she was impregnated. So this is Casey Anthony is either one of the most raped people on the planet, or she's making up stories to make people feel sorry for her. She says reason she lied was to protect her abuser. And she lied. She's an admitted liar, lied her whole life. And she protected him from this, which makes no sense because why would you watch your abuser who abused you and now has murdered your kid, and you don't ever tell the cops? Instead of telling the cops the last person to see Kaylee was my dad, he was the last one with her, she lets them believe that it was her the whole time. And she lies to them about things that are easily provable, like where she works and where she was and what she does. And she was convicted on those things. She was convicted of lying to police officers because
Yes, I remember that.
But she wasn't convicted on the other stuff because the body was so badly decomposed. They didn't have a cause of death, so nobody could say how the child died. While they could connect the body to the house because she was wrapped in a blanket from her room, they couldn't. And they're claiming that the duct tape came from George's garage, but of course Casey lived in the house, so she had access to the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch George Anthony. And I will admit, I have watched this and it is weird in parts. And Jose Baez is probably one of the best lawyers I've ever seen because he is very good at making people look guilty on the stand. And he did his job. So we're going to watch George. Any thoughts before we do that, Larry?
No, this is all new to me, so I'm watching this completely cold.
All right, great. I would love to hear what your response is to him and like how you think what do you think if he's telling the truth or whatever, because this is interesting.
The time that you met Cindy, were you working as a law enforcement officer then?
Yes, sir, I was.
And in what capacity
Cindy's his
were you
wife.
working when you two first met and began to see each other?
I was working as an undercover drug agent with the Sheriff's Department, where I was employed.
In your time with the Sheriff's Office, could you just describe for us what different positions you held or responsibilities you had?
Well, I had a brief stint as considered an auxiliary officer. I was immediately asked to become a full-time officer, which I did. I was in 2 years road patrol. I advanced pretty quickly to become
That hairstyle does not fit her.
working at different times in auto theft. I mean, it was a lot of different things, and homicide. I did a lot of different varied things as a detective.
How big an agency was the sheriff's department? Well, is it Warren, Ohio Sheriff's Department, or?
It's called the Trumbull County Sheriff's Department.
Trumbull County Sheriff's Department. How big a sheriff's department is that?
At the time that I was employed there, we had a road patrol, or at least a full-size staff of about 110, maybe 112 sheriff deputies.
And how about the detective divisions? How many detectives did you all have?
Somewhere in the neighborhood about 10 to 12. It wasn't a real large agency, but I would say roughly about that.
So during your period as a detective, did you investigate a number of different kinds of crimes?
Right. I originally started out with, as far as, like it says, the auto theft and also like break-ins and things like that. But from time to time, you would be.
Yeah, I should have mentioned this is the prosecution
of investigation.
Jose Baez comes on afterwards
occasionally
to cross-examine.
That could happen from time to time, yes, depending on what was needed and the number of staff that had to be utilized.
Now, during your marriage, were you blessed with children?
Yes, fortunate enough to have 2 children with Cindy.
Okay. And the oldest, could you tell us the name and gender of that child?
My oldest is my son, Lee. He is going to be 29 years old this year.
And what year was he born?
In 1982.
And how about your daughter?
Casey, which she's a female. She was born in 1986. And so now she's 25.
Now, did there come a time during the time you lived in Ohio when you got out of law enforcement and got into another line of work?
I got out of law enforcement for 2 reasons. My father had asked me to come back into a family established car business. And after numerous incidents that occurred within the sheriff's department through being hurt on the job, different other things made me change my mind to get out of law enforcement and go back into a family business. That I know, number one, would be more stable. I would be able to provide more for my family.
Now, were you still working as a law enforcement officer when Casey was born, or did that happen during your second career?
Let's see. Casey was born after I had left the sheriff's department.
And you said you went into a family business. What type of family business was that?
My father started a automobile agency back in 1947, so he had been in the business for numerous years.
Did there come a point in time when, so you did go to work for your father then?
Yes.
Did there come a point in time when your father left the business or you left his business?
Oh, my father was sort of in like a semi-retirement when I joined him in 1984. And shortly thereafter, we had some incidents occur between him and I. We decided to part ways. And I believe that was in 1987. I'm roughly thinking about that was probably the time.
And did you decide to basically go out on your own in that same type of business?
Right. I started to start my own automobile agency, a small used car dealership, and provide for my family. Yes.
Now, when Casey was born, were you still working for your dad, or were you on your own?
Casey had just been born, and it was like about a year after Casey had
I
been
didn't
born
even get that the first time through.
I started another business.
Now, at some point, did you and your wife decide to leave Ohio, where you had grown and lived, and move to Florida?
Yes, we decided for a lot of reasons. Number one, my parents had retired here in Florida. Cindy's parents also had retired in Florida. And through my job, but the company that I had established was suffering financially. Just a lot of different reasons came into play for us to decide, well, the children were young enough. Why not go to Florida? I mean, that's somewhere where both sets of grandparents were at. Fresh start. Give us just another opportunity to start over.
Now, during your, pardon me, during your marriage, through the birth of your children, did your wife Cindy continue to work?
Cindy had, she started working part-time when Lee was first born to provide for him and be there for him. And she started working full-time. And I know she took some time off a little bit when Casey was born. And she still worked, I can't remember the exact many of hours she'd have been working during the week, something like that, but it wasn't a lot. She took time to help raise our children.
Now, about what were the ages of your children when you all moved to Florida?
Lee was just shy of being 7 years old, and Casey was just 3 years old.
When you got here to Florida, did Cindy go to work in her profession?
Pretty much immediately. She was hired by a orthopedic clinic in Winter Park, and it took me about 3 months before I was employed.
Had you considered going into law enforcement when you got to Florida?
I did go down to the Orlando Police Department and look into being hired by them. And because of having that law enforcement background, I thought it would be an easier chance for me to get reestablished and start having pretty much established an income right away.
And did you decide not to pursue that?
Right after thinking about some of the drawbacks of law enforcement and how telling it can be and hard, it's a very hard line of work to adhere to every single day. It's very demanding.
All right. And was your wife part of that decision-making process?
All right.
Going back in?
I apologize. Yes, she didn't want me to go back in law enforcement because she's seen what could potentially happen. I mean, you could be going to work one day and not come home the next. It's a very tough position, very profession.
At some point, did you get into the private security field?
Yes, I was hired by the city of Orlando and started working at what was considered the Centralplex at the time, with the Orlando Arena, Bob Carr. What was that?
And in the years leading up to the events we're going to discuss, did you work in that field pretty consistently?
Pretty consistently. It's unfortunate that from time to time you lose a position or you have a chance to move on somewhere along and you make some decisions to go into another line of work or get back into something that you know. Yes, I did some more security work, yes, over the years.
And did Cindy continue to work in her nursing profession?
Yes, Cindy has been very fortunate. She's only had 2 positions of employment since we've been here all these years.
Now, did there come a point in time when you learned that your daughter was pregnant?
Yes, I did. I think it was like May or June of 2005.
How did you learn that she was pregnant?
My daughter and my wife set me down in our living room and said they had something to tell me. And first hearing about it, extremely excited to be a grandfather, to see my daughter be a mother, but also concerns about, how she's going to raise this child because she's a single mom. I never really thought too much about who the father could be. That was a discussion I wanted to have maybe a little bit later. I wanted my daughter first to be happy, to get through the pregnancy fine, to enjoy that special time of becoming a mother that I thought was very important.
Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit. At the time that you learned of the pregnancy, your daughter was not married at the time. As far as was she?
Yeah, Casey's never been married.
All right. At the time that you learned of the pregnancy, was she involved with someone where you would sort of assume that person was the father?
Well, I really wasn't sure if Casey, I know Casey had dated at different times over the years, but I really wasn't sure about who she was maybe seeing on a more serious basis or anything like that. No, sir.
So how
there were
did
too
you
many.
And your wife begin to prepare for the arrival of a grandchild?
Oh, just doing everything we can to make Casey's life as easy as possible for our grandchild. Getting a chance to go to different times when she was going to be examined. Went through the ultrasound.
Did you go?
Oh, absolutely, I did. And when I got a chance to see that it was considered, I think it's called a pancake, I think it's the term, or something like that, of when you can see it's going to be a girl.
Okay.
Maybe that's not the proper terminology, but I was very excited. I mean, if having a grandson would have been terrific, but just knowing that she was going to be a mother and us be grandparents, it wouldn't have mattered. She could have had 3 or 4 children at once. It would have been fine with me. I just was excited.
At the time that you learned of the pregnancy, was Casey living under your roof?
Casey has always lived with us, yes.
Now, was she in school at that time? The time you learned of the pregnancy? Or had she already finished high school?
She already had finished high school.
To your knowledge, at that point, was she working?
She was working for a company called Color Vision, which is a subcontractor for Universal Studios.
Was it your understanding that was one of those companies that take your picture when you walk in the front door and then offer to sell it to you?
Yes.
Later?
No, I don't think pancake means
right.
that.
So during your preparations for this, was
Oh,
there
yeah,
any
Geraldo.
question
There he
among the three
is.
of you as to where Casey and your grandchild would live after she was born?
No, I mean, we opened up, she's always lived at home. And we thought that would be not thought, but we knew that having Kaylee with us or knowing that our grandchild could live with us until Casey got more established, better on her own, possibly job promotion or whatever it might be. She would stay with us until the time she felt that she wanted to leave.
Now, you mentioned home. Where was home?
Home is 4937 Hope Spring Drive, where we've lived since 1989.
Since when?
Since 1989.
89. And was that a house that you all purchased? Did you purchase it actually before you moved to Florida or sort of early on?
Look over the
Cindy had came down
prosecutor's
to
shoulder.
Florida to see her parents,
Geraldo's
and when
right
we decided
behind
we were
him.
going to be moving down here because of
who's
my
Geraldo?
work at the time
You
and
don't
through
know
other
who
things, I
Geraldo
couldn't get
is?
away. Cindy basically
I know
came down and-
Harambe.
Are you kidding? We have just learned that Larry does not know who Geraldo is. You don't remember? Well, you don't. You're
It's
too young.
It's when the kid fell into the cage and the gorilla beat the shit out of him and killed him,
No.
right? Geraldo.
No, Geraldo is the guy who had said he found Al Capone's lair. Remember the secret lair, and then he went in and dug through secret tunnels or whatever and found nothing, and it was hilarious. He's had a talk show. He covered OJ. But he's old, and you're young, and Geraldo Rivera. You really don't know.
Okay,
Geraldo?
I know. Now that you mentioned the last name, I've heard that name before. Yes.
Okay, well, he's behind the prosecutor's shoulder. He's where DUI Guy was sitting at the Depp trial. So if you look behind the prosecutor's shoulder, you'll see Geraldo. He's there.
Looked the area over, found a
Harambe
realtor,
Rivera,
found a
got it.
home, and what they say, the rest is sort of history. That's the whole mess of
Harambe
it.
Rivera.
And is this a home
There
in
he
which you raised
Yeah.
your children and were
With the
intending
mustache.
to
He
help
needs to
raise
stop
Caleb?
moving. The prosecutor.
yes.
He
Yes,
keeps
the
blocking
prosecutor
him.
Could
keeps
we show the
doing
witness
this.
State's
Pay
Exhibit
attention to me,
AN
not him.
identification? If you'll look at the screen for a moment,
Stop
do you
simping
recognize
for
the
Larry in the
photographs that we've
chat.
identified as State's Exhibit
Stop
AN for
that.
identification?
That is our home at Hope Spring Drive, 4937.
That's the one you've described to us where your children were raised and
Yes.
where Kaylee was to be raised. This time, Your Honor, State would move into evidence State's Exhibit AN for identification.
What says the defense? There being no objections, it will be received in evidence as State's Exhibit numbered.
And may I publish, Your Honor?
You may publish.
Now, this, during the time that you were assisting with the pregnancy and waiting
Really
for your
is
grandchild to
this.
come around,
Quite a bit.
did Casey continue to work?
He's like telling himself to
Casey
get to the
worked
point.
up until
Get
I
to the
think it might have been about at least 2 or 3 weeks prior to Kaylee being born. I might be off maybe a week or so, but at least it's in that short time period.
Tell us about Kaylee's birth.
Googling Harambe Rivera now.
Let me know when you find out.
Where were you when you found out? I'll try and help you with this. Where were you when you found out that it was time?
Oh,
We were
simping is off the charts.
Cindy, Casey, and I were all at home.
All of my fans
And,
apparently are in your chat right now.
Casey had been starting to become a little bit ill, or she was showing signs of possible labor. I mean, she was throwing up. You know, she had some other small issues that
What is
made
wrong
us
with her
think,
eyebrows?
okay,
I just
maybe this
noticed.
is
Oh no! Did he just say he
Something-
found out she was pregnant when he
'Cause she was
just said
throwing
she
up?
was showing signs of labor? He did. He just said she was showing some signs of labor and she was throwing up. Like, does this man not know what being pregnant is? He's got 2 kids. It's a weird thing he just said. So
Maybe
the
he's a
reason
little tense.
the
on
reason why
direct.
he's dancing around this is because for some reason, either Casey hid her pregnancy from her parents, or she says her parents told her to hide her pregnancy from everyone. So this,
Why?
because her story is they're all liars. They lie, which is
Mm.
why she lies, and they all lie. Yeah, her eyebrows look like Vulcan eyebrow, like they're
it's like part of it is either bleached or missing. Like the right, like from here on down on both sides. It's like, here, hold on, I'll try to do this. I can't see myself in the camera. It's like this. Like those are her eyebrows. There you go.
Yes.
It's like that.
It's very odd.
Yeah.
It's very odd. It's not normal. There's nothing normal. That hairstyle also is not doing it for me.
No, it looks horrible. It makes her
she
look
looks like a Vulcan.
Some Christian, extremist or something. I mean, if that's what they're going for, it's actually not a bad idea. Like what Christian extremists would have never murdered their own
child. And also, though, I thought it was strange that they had her wearing like a t-shirt. What she is wearing right now is like it looks like long underwear. Doesn't it? Doesn't it look like a long underwear shirt? Like that.
Speaking of long underwear, I thought we were meeting Megan Fox today. I've been waiting this entire time to meet Megan Fox, and she's not here.
Who said that? Is that someone in the chat?
No, you.
You what?
It's the wrong Megan Fox. I'm so sorely disappointed. But you know what? I'll make do.
Yes, I always get those in the chat too, by the way. Like, this is not the Megan Fox we were looking for.
These aren't the droids you're looking for. Move along.
What's going on? It's something we need to look into and get her some assistance. So we took her up to the hospital, and I think in a few short hours, the doctor was called in, her pediatrician, and
you mean her obstetrician?
Obstetrician. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Obstetrician, yes. And the lady helped her bring Kaylee into the world.
Were you actually there in the delivery room?
Okay, this part is weird.
Outside.
Oh, I was in the delivery room. I was in the delivery room
That's
for
weird.
my own two children, but also being there for Kaylee, which was
I can't imagine having my dad in
but
the
also
delivery room.
embarrassing to a point.
Sure.
And if I might say that there's sometimes in your life as a father, there's some things of your child you don't want to see again growing up. But something, it's just an experience that it's hard to put into words. It's just how elated you are and how happy you are to see your own child give birth to another child. It's just amazing.
And was the birth?
That's
Kaylee
bizarre.
okay?
I'm sorry.
Kaylee was fine. I mean, there was a little complication here or there, but it wasn't anything that the doctor couldn't take care of, because the doctor was right there the whole time, and other nurses and things like that. So it was all taken care of.
Now, during the pregnancy, at some point, was the subject broached about who the father of Kaylee
and then murdered
was or was thought to be?
I shouldn't be joking.
I can't remember if we exactly talked about it prior to this Kaylee being born or right after, but I know
Sorry, what, Larry?
I said I should not be joking about this stuff, but it's just, I'm sorry, it's just too easy. They make it too easy.
Look, I'm sorry. This is one of the parts of his testimony, though, where I was like, you did what now? You were in the delivery room? That's too far, George. That's way too far.
Why was he? Yeah, why was he there? That doesn't make any sense.
This is one of the things that I think bolsters her claim that he may have molested her, because no dad is going in the delivery room and watching their daughter give birth. I'm sorry, that's nuts. My husband barely wanted to be in the room with me. My husband.
Exactly.
Like
doctors and maybe a husband. And if you have like a girlfriend that you're like basically sisters with, I think
my
that
mother
might be an
was in the
exception.
room. I had my mother there. But
yeah,
mom
but
is
women
totally
are
normal.
different.
Women
to have
are
a woman
different,
there is,
but to have dad in the room, holy crap,
does not pass the smell test.
Does not pass the smell. My mother was there for my first baby. I wanted her there badly. But not after that. Then she was watching my baby when I was having another baby, and it was just me and my husband. My dad would not have wanted to come in the room, and I would not have wanted him there. Just no, unless I was dying or something. Like if I was dying, then yes, I would want my dad in the room. But if I'm just having a baby, no, that's weird. No. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. This makes me think there's something seriously wrong with him.
It was brought up because
her.
Yeah, I wanted to know because I feel it takes two to make this child, and this father needs to be made aware of that he's going to be a father and who he could possibly be, and it'd be great to meet him and see what his obligation would be. And I felt whoever the fathers needs to have an obligation for birth of this child.
did you have an occasion then to meet the person that, at least at that point, was thought to be the father?
There was a name brought up that Casey believed could have been the father.
Eric.
All I remember is the last name was Baker, I believe, and that was about it. But if I can take another step forward, Casey also had been seeing another gentleman who had been employed at Universal Studios by the name of Jesse, that I got to understand and get to know that he could have also been the father. So he was, one of two guys possibly.
Now, when did you first meet Jesse?
I met Jesse for the very first time on the day that Kaylee was born. That had been August 9th.
How did that go?
Not very well, truthfully. I was elated to be there to see my daughter.
What John just said, sorry, can you
Jesse did not make
highlight the comment again?
Which
it's
one?
very,
John, what if dad was the father?
Father, yes.
Yeah.
So there is this theory out there that Michelle Dauber's child potentially could be, like, her father and her grandfather are the same person.
Who is Michelle? How do I not? I don't know who this is.
The Professor Michelle Dauber, who just recently deleted her Twitter.
Oh,
huge
the
fan and friends
Amber
with Amber
fan.
Heard.
Right.
Yes, professor at Stanford.
Okay.
Probably going to be named very shortly in a lawsuit, possibly indicted by the FBI for her involvement in Title IX stuff.
Wow.
That sort of that person. Michelle Dauber had a daughter, Amanda, who unlived herself in 2008.
Oh boy.
When she was like 24 or something. I don't know. Very, very young. And there's this theory that one of the reasons why she took her life potentially could be that she found out, because her whole family is messed up. So the father was like an experimental psychologist.
Oh no, the worst.
His two kids, Michelle and forget her brother's name, they both turned out completely fucked up. Her brother is a convicted child molester, and he ended up serving a sentence in Illinois, and she cut ties with him, and he molested Michelle's daughter, Amanda. But she never talked about who the father is. We still, to this day, we don't know who the father is. And the prevailing theory is, more than likely, it's very possible that the father and the grandfather are the same person, and that might be the reason why Amanda took her life.
Oh
and
my
that's
God.
horrifying. Just
That is
absolutely horrifying.
Well,
And
they
in
asked
families-
Casey in the documentary, could George be the father of Kaylee? And she says, no, definitely not. What I can't figure out is why the police did not ask for DNA tests when they didn't have a father for the child. Like, that would have been something that you would think you'd want to know if she's claiming. And why didn't the defense do it? The defense could have done it. The defense did a lot of things that they should have done and they didn't. And I'm wondering if it's because they knew she was full of shit. Like, for instance, they did not subpoena his phone records. So they could have proven that he was the one in the house Googling the foolproof suffocation, because someone Googled foolproof suffocation under Casey's login. They had Casey's phone, placing her in the home at the time. Why didn't the defense, when they made the jury believe it could have been George, but they didn't get his phone records? Wouldn't you, as a defense attorney, wouldn't you get those? Or maybe you wouldn't if you just wanted to make the jury believe that something was possible without proving it, because that would then kill your case. But the cops didn't do it either. And they didn't get a DNA. They didn't match DNA to Kaylee's body and George, which they should have if this was, since this was a thing. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm just seeing a pattern here that, like, a lot of these, and this is in the public eye. Now imagine all these families who are not in the public eye, and there's like all this incest and crazy stuff going on. It's more common than we might think. It's just we don't talk about it because who wants to talk about this garbage? You know, it's just a fact of life.
Yeah,
unfortunately, for
that's
some people.
true. That's true. It is more common than we want to think about. DC says they did DNA test George, and he's not the father. I have not seen that yet. So if that's, I don't know. I can't confirm that or not. I have not, in all the stuff I've watched, I haven't seen anything that says that. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So maybe it did. But here's the thing. Here's the problem with Casey. She lied so many times, demonstrably lied, that if she is now telling the truth, who the hell's going to believe her?
Mm-hmm.
Like no one. Absolutely no one.
Make the best first impression with me.
All right. Now, after Kaylee was born, did she and Casey return to your home?
Yes, I think on that next, it could have been the second day or maybe third day. I think it was the second day.
And did Jesse become at least initially part of sort of the family group with Kaylee as an infant?
Right. Jesse, we pretty much opened up our arms to him and welcomed him in and wanted to get to know him more. And just, you know, if he was the father, I would just be happy to get a chance to know him and see what his dynamic was going to be as far as how he was going to take care of Kaylee and Casey, or at least help take care of them.
Did there come a point when it was learned through certain scientific testing that Jesse was in fact not the father of Kaylee?
Right. I'm not sure about how long after Kaylee had gotten home, Casey and Kaylee had gotten home, that Jesse went and got a paternity test done.
As Kaylee grew, what was your role in her upbringing in her life?
I'm just her grandfather. I probably acted sometimes maybe like as a father with her because I was around her every day or nearly every single day. And to me, that was pretty awesome to have not only my daughter there, but also to have my granddaughter to be around. That's just, you know, on the scale of 1 to 10, you have to give that probably a 20 or better because it's double the excitement.
Now, what role did Cindy
Double the excitement.
take in
Choice
in
of words?
raising
Wait,
Kaylee?
I'm sorry. Can you roll that back?
Just being a great grandmother.
Choice of words sometimes gives us
to
away.
have not only my daughter there, but also to have my granddaughter to be around. That's just, you know, on the scale of 1 to 10, you have to give that probably a 20 or better because it's double the excitement.
Now,
why is it double the excitement? I don't understand. That phrase is out of place completely.
Double the excitement.
My daughter's
does
there. My
say weird
granddaughter's
things.
there.
He
1
does
out of
say
10.
weird things. He
It's
really
10
does.
on both. He's trying to impress the jury. It sounds like he's trying to like make it look like he loves them both so much. There's no way in hell he could have been complicit or involved in any way because just seeing them is a 10 out of 10, which is complete fucking horseshit.
No, he said it was a
Nobody loves
20.
her.
He said it was a 20 out of 10.
Both, but double. 20 out of 10,
Double.
like 10 and 10.
Yeah, 10
on
and 10.
Both? Come on. Everybody knows dads want to strangle their fucking daughters.
Especially at this
sometimes.
age. She got knocked up. He doesn't know who's the father. You know, the father turns out to be a guy he doesn't like. He said it didn't go well. So we're supposed to believe, though, that he's just so overwhelmed with joy at this situation. I'm sure he did love his granddaughter, but I'm sure that he had a lot of clashes with this one.
It's one thing to love. It's another thing to say this is literally, 10 out of 10. It's like, I don't know. I've never done this, but I'm imagining what a 10 out of 10 would feel like. Doing heroin on a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's an overstatement for sure. It's definitely an exaggeration. It's an exaggeration.
So I
I think you're right, though. He's trying to impress the jury. Julie says it's control. He can control her more now through the baby. That's how those kinds of dads are from experience. Maybe. He does seem to be an overbearing sort of father. And I think she was afraid of him. Lots of kids are afraid of their dads without them being, horrific child abusers.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What role did Cindy take in raising Kaylee?
Oh, just being a great grandmother. Helping any way she could.
I like Eric.
Me too.
Take care of Kaylee from time to time, same way as I did. Cindy did it more frequently than I did because of my work schedule, but to be a fantastic grandmother, help provide for Kaylee in any way that she could or I could.
As Kaylee began to grow and be able to speak, did she have names for you and Cindy and other members of the family?
Well, Kaylee started calling me JoJo. And I know how probably JoJo came about because my daughter Casey used to call me Papa Joe. And that happened to be through another friend of hers that we just became very close with over the years.
How old was Kaylee at the
JoJo
time
was
of
just
death?
probably easy for
3.
Kaylee to say better than grandpa, or grandfather or something.
So you were JoJo.
I was JoJo.
How about Cindy? How did Casey?
And I
Cindy
think she had
became
just turned
Cece,
3. She was
or
2
possibly
when she
Grandma
went
sometimes,
missing.
but mostly it was Cece.
Now, taking us now up into 2008, the winter, spring, early months of 2008. Tell us how Kaylee had developed. In other words, what could she do? How advanced was she physically, mentally, etc.?
Well, not only I'm just a bragging grandfather.
Sure.
But
we'll take it with a grain of salt.
But she was a very vocal child. I mean, she could put a lot of words together. She could, we have a remote on our TV. She learns how to do that. There was another little button she could push on the TV to get it to change channels, which I thought was amazing. She could turn on the VCR, put her own DVDs in. Oh my gosh, she knew to go.
Yeah, they learned that quick.
Inside of our pantry
That's
area
true.
and get the plastic jar of peanut butter. We had the small one, and go get herself a spoon. Have her come over and ask you to open it up so she could have a spoonful of peanut butter. God, puzzles to go together. The way she'd bring crayons to you to color every day and make Play-Doh little things for herself. I mean, you name it, she could do it. And I knew from working with her or from us doing things with her, she was a very bright child. You would sing a song with her once, she could sing it next time with you, which to me was just amazing.
So in terms of physical dexterity, she was able to open drawers, open doors, things of that sort.
Oh, right. There would be no thing that she couldn't accomplish. I mean, we've seen that. We put the proper security plastic knobs on doorknobs and stuff like that because, yeah, she could open things up for her age. She was really something.
Now, in the early summer, late spring, early summer of 2008, did you believe that your daughter was employed?
That's sort of a two-part answer for me.
Sure.
Yes and no.
Okay. Explain that for us, will you?
I always wanted to give my daughter the benefit of the doubt of working and providing for her own daughter because she was a single mom. But at different times, and I would question about her money or things like that, how she was providing for Kaylee.
Okay, let me stop you for a second because I don't want to go too far afield of this, but what was it that she told you about her employment, let's say in May and June of 2008? What was it that she told you?
Well, that she was still employed by Color Vision. She's moving on as an event planner, I believe, through Universal Studios at the time, but also she was starting to work a part-time job at Sports Authority, not too far away from our home.
Ooh,
And
Stephanie Tam, I agree
as
with
far
that. That's
as
a very
the
interesting question.
Universal Studios job, did you believe that she was actually working there in May and June of 2008?
I was wanting to believe that she was working there, yes, because I mean, she still had a Universal ID.
Did you see it, Megan?
Every
mic is
time I would be
No,
talking to her and
what was
asking her
it?
prior to me going to.
Why does Casey just have a blank face hearing about her daughter?
Yeah, her lawyers claim in the documentary that she showed no emotion because of her extreme trauma, that she was not able to break through until the not guilty verdict came in. And after that, she went into deep therapy and was able to actually show emotions for the
Process
first
it.
time. Yeah.
Clever
That she-
tactic, very clever.
Yeah, they also allege in the documentary that she recovered these memories of this horrific abuse through therapy like that she knew she had been abused, but to her it was like a dreamlike quality until she got this therapy that they got her after the trial.
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. This is interesting. You just hit something. You hit a nerve without even realizing it. Allow me to explain. So you are familiar potentially, and your audience may or may not be familiar. There are different in the last 100 years or so. We have developed something called the insanity defense.
Mm-hmm.
In the legal system. What is it? And there's like at least 4 prevailing different theories of defense when it comes to using the insanity defense. One of them, and don't ask me the names, I don't remember. That's like taking me back to college and law school. You could probably find them on the internet if you want to. But McNaughton, I remember there's a McNaughton defense. Again, don't even ask me exactly what it is. But it's like when you have when you're functionally okay, but you have like a moment of frenzy and then you're normal again or something like that. Then there's the crime of passion, then the insanity defense there. Then you have just completely insane. You're incapable of discerning reality from fiction. And what you just said, that she was in a dreamlike state. And some people do suffer from, it's kind of a delusion, essentially. Like, I'm not murdering my baby. I am giving it a bath. In their minds, they're actually giving the baby a bath, only they don't realize, oops, it's a blood bath. Quite literally. And then they come to and they're like, oh my God, what have I done? And they don't even realize because their brain switched off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having this inability to express emotion over such a traumatic event can sometimes, in psychology, can be linked to the fact that you were disassociated from reality when it happened. Therefore, you have no emotional attachment.
Yeah.
You have to be in that same mental state, which you're not in consistently. But if you go back into that mental state through deep therapy, for example, that's the dead giveaway. This is just a theory. There's just a theory based on the new information I've been
Well,
provided.
I think it's possible that she accidentally killed her child and disassociated from that moment.
That's possible too. So it could be the reverse. Yes.
And I misspoke a little. The memories started, according to the documentary, according to Casey, the memories started coming back to her while she was sitting in jail, because she started writing letters to another inmate. They were in solitary confinement, so she couldn't talk to other inmates, but they could pass letters back and forth, I guess. Mm-hmm. So she started writing these letters, which I thought, if you're a sociopath and you're trying to blame, frame somebody else for the murder you did, that was pretty diabolically good, to start writing these letters and have someone else be a witness to them who, now believes you that you suffered all this abuse. And that's when it started coming out. And the way she explains it is that she had nothing to do in jail than just ruminate, and she was separated from her abuser. So the memory, what he did started coming back to her. And that's when she started writing it all down. And then she claimed, her lawyers claimed, that after the trial was when she was able to actually process real emotions after that, because she had been holding on to the stress and the anxiety and everything else of being, on trial for her life and whatever. And then afterwards, she went into this deep therapy, and now she can experience emotions where she couldn't because of the abuse and the PTSD. She was evaluated, Larry, by at least one psychiatrist, and they came up with nothing on her except PTSD.
I don't believe those. No offense, but like,
I know
those are, no offense to the whole profession. I know, like Tug, for example, he's in that profession. Psychologists can be fickle, and their analyses, much like lawyers and doctors, we're all in the same group. I'm not singling them out. We take in data and we create a hypothesis or create a defense theory or create a diagnosis. And a lot of times we get it wrong. a lot of times or sometimes if the individual, again, I believe it is possible to have maybe a split personality disorder that even after a mental evaluation can still not be diagnosed because you need consistent evaluations. I don't know. I'm not a
It
big
is
believer of like,
inexact. It's
she's
inexact.
tested and she's good. Like nobody found anything, so she's fine. That's not. It's that this person in this evaluation found nothing doesn't mean it still doesn't exist.
Right.
That's the problem.
And I think we saw that during the Depp trial, right? We had those two warring psychologists, expert witnesses, where Dr. Curry completely described what we were about to see on the stand with Amber, and sure enough, we saw every single bit of it, while the other one, who looked like a Disney villain, I don't remember her name now, went off on the same tangent that this psychologist who was brought into this trial went off on, which is, oh, she doesn't have a personality disorder. No, it's PTSD from abuse. There seem to be two warring factions in psychology where, the domestic violence and abuse psychologists have one interpretation of behavior, and then clinical psychologists have another interpretation of that behavior. And how will we know? How do we know?
And also be careful of paid experts. Sometimes will say anything.
Totally.
And we've seen that in medical malpractice cases, especially.
Yep.
These professional doctors who literally get paid to defend other doctors, even though, they have to bend over backwards to try and figure out how to make this make sense.
We all know eating candy in court makes one a narcissist. Yeah, that was the kind of stuff that was happening to Johnny with the saying that his eating candy, that his behavior, just eating gummy bears makes him gives him a psychological disorder. That's how bad some of this analysis really is, and that's why you can't trust any of it. You just
what is it? The Goldwater rule. We're all guilty of it. Where you're basically reading some other psychologist's notes and making a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Or you're just watching a behavior and you're like, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, right. So it's impossible to tell, and every psychiatrist or psychologist appears to have a different explanation for this stuff. What I don't know yet, because I haven't got there in this trial, is did the state get their own evaluation on her, and what did that say? And I'm not sure, because the only psychologist I've heard from is the one from the defense, which of course is a paid expert, and you have to throw that one right out the window. It's just, you can't say that that's legitimate.
Work. Are you going to work today? Yeah, I've got something going on at Universal. I'm doing this event planning and things like that. So yeah, I was believing and hoping that she was working there. Yes.
Did you have a routine reflective of someone going to work?
Pretty much so. I mean, I know she worked a lot more like a early afternoon to an early evening type shift. Just went at 1 or 2 o'clock and I'd come home till like 8 or 10 o'clock at night. I mean, it could vary. I know working in event planning that she had explained to us, sometimes you could work just during that particular event that you're scheduled for, which could be 4 or 6 hours long. So I just took it as she was there for that period of time. Yes.
What did she tell you? Well, at this point in time, let's say May and June of 2008, was Cindy working with your wife?
Yes.
What was her work schedule?
Cindy was Monday through Friday. She could be leaving the house anytime between 7:30, 8 o'clock. And she would work till 5, sometimes 6 o'clock in the evening. Could be a little bit later, but generally that was her general work schedule, Monday through Friday.
How about you during that same period of time? What was your work schedule?
I was working an afternoon shift. I was working 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Some people call it a second shift or an afternoon shift. I was working in security for a company out of Altamont Springs.
And were you working the same Monday through Friday schedule as Cindy or different?
No, I worked Sunday through Thursday. I was off on Fridays and Saturdays.
Now, during the periods of time when Casey, you believed, was at work, and you and Cindy were both at work, did she indicate to you who was watching Kaylee? Well,
there was a name that was brought up, and I don't think it was maybe a year prior to all this stuff occurring from us. I think it was probably just shortly after the first of the year that I can basically remember. A girl by name of Zanny's name was brought into it, or I guess the name came out later on as Zenaida. But that's what I was told. So Miss Lady was taking care of Kaylee's, his name was Annie.
She was a babysitter when you and Cindy were not available.
Yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention, excuse me, to
I like how they're
June the
advertising.
16th. Well, before
Legal
I do
Graphic
that,
Works right there on the table. You're muted, Megan.
I noticed that. What is that?
It looks like a company that probably provides graphics for lawyers. I wonder if they paid them to actually, because it looks like a little thing that you just put on. It's like, welcome, to an exhibit hall or whatever.
So
I don't
bizarre.
know.
I noticed
that's
that.
extremely weird.
It is
I've
weird.
never
Like
seen
they're
them before in my life.
selling ad space in the courtroom.
Literally during the trial. It's like, well, it's like a NASCAR race, where you have your sponsors on your fucking thing.
Well, I know you've got to get going, so I don't want to keep you past when you need to leave. And so why don't you tell everybody what's coming up for you next and grift away.
Sure. Yeah. So Curious George, probably tonight or tomorrow. And then another Curious George on Saturday. That's going to be the Christmas Eve special, Christmas special. Green Eggs and Ham on Monday. And then we're doing our mock trial on Tuesday. So literally now that the Amber Heard saga is done, and I was going to be doing, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard saga is done. I was going to be doing that anyway, because we were going to have a lull in that space regardless. But tomorrow, hopefully we can get our hands, Laura B and I are going to be working probably in tandem to get the good stuff, the dismissal paperwork, the requests from both Johnny and Amber to ask the court, hey, we are dismissing our appeal. We haven't reached a settlement. And the court, of course, is going to accept it. There's 0% chance that the court's going to go, we don't accept your settlement.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% chance going to be granted. But the question is, are we going to get the juice? Is it just going to be a motion with no attachments? Is it going to be a motion with attachments? Is it going to be a motion without attachments, but we get the agreement it's going to leak some other way to the public? I want eyeballs on the document. That's what I want, because up until that happens, we are going, and even after it happens, I know it's never going to stop, but we have to shut down as quickly as possible this nonsense about the verdict is now null and void. This is driving me fucking banana sandwich. And I cannot figure out.
Sandwich.
That's a Dane Cook quote for those of you who are not aware. Thanks, Danielle.
What is a Curious George stream? I don't understand. Explain it to me and to people who don't know what you're doing.
Sure. So I read the children's book, Curious George. So far, we read 5 out of the 7 books. We have 2 to go, and both will be done this week. So one will be done either tonight or tomorrow, and then the other one will be done on Saturday for sure, like 100%.
You just read the book?
Christmas special. Well, not exactly. The first 4 episodes, we did legal analysis along with all the potential crimes that have been committed, the felonies that have been exhibited, the misdemeanors, the emotional trauma, the gaps, the inconsistencies, the silliness, the stupidity, the improbability of things happening the way that they did.
For children creating little criminals.
But this is exactly like, this is for kids, and I read it for adults. This is not for children. All 5 books. But the 5th book, I tried something new. My evil twin, who tried to pretend and say I'm the evil twin and he's the good twin, he joined in, and I read the entire book. Curious George Flies a Kite with a German accent. And
this sounds fantastic.
This next one, Curious George Goes to the Hospital, like I said, which I'm going to read tonight or tomorrow, is going to be with a different one. Nobody knows what yet. Nobody knows what.
Oh boy, that yellow hat man was such an enabler. Says DC Prime Time. What a creative and fun idea, Larry. That's fantastic. Everybody go over to DUI Guy's YouTube and sub to him. I know the mods have been putting the links for you in the chat. Thank you, mods, for doing that. I appreciate you, Daisy Nimbus. You're the best. And make sure that you sign up to get over there and watch the Curious George stream because it sounds absolutely hilarious. Oh, look, what do we have here? Here we
One
go.
last thing before I go. So this is an article by Fox News. Now, I hate Fox News.
Me too.
But they are so far, like, they have provided the best piece of literature.
Sometimes
on
they get it
this.
right.
Yes. Yeah. And this time they did. And it's absolutely glorious. Share the crap out of this, folks, please. I tweeted it, retweeted, quote tweeted. I don't care. This is literally destroying the Amber stance position of like Amber
Ooh,
won.
drop
blah,
that
blah, blah.
link in the private chat for me. I'll play the video for them in a bit. That way you guys
Absolutely.
can see this.
Yeah,
thank you so much for coming here today, Larry. I really appreciate it. I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time and I just didn't reach out, but I'm glad. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely. No, thank you for inviting me. And I wish I could stay longer, but I can't believe it's been 2 hours. That
I
time just
know
flew by.
it's been a while. I know. The trial streams are hard because I want to talk to my guests and it's hard to, so I like to do that for a while first. And so I think we probably spent an hour just chatting. Which
But now we
is
got that out of the way. So the next one, we can just dive in
We just
straight
go
into
right in.
the trial.
And we're
Yeah,
going to be doing all these highlights. So maybe if you want to do another one coming up soon, we'll do it again.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty, see you later. All right, everybody, that was fun. Let's see. Let's get back into this. We're going to try and get through it. And then I got to go Christmas shopping. Can you believe I don't have my Christmas shopping done yet? I mean, what kind of loser am I?
States Exhibit A. Let me
Big
unpublish
loser.
first. We have
Oh,
States
wait a
Exhibit
minute. Hold
monitor for the
on.
witness.
Oh, no, you don't. You're not getting away that easy. Hold on, chat. Just a minute. We've been sitting here for almost 2 hours, and you know what we haven't done? We have not done our squats. So you're going to get up right now, and I'm going to get up right now, and we're going to do those squats before we get back into this. It's 1 minute and 22 seconds. You've got 1 minute and 22 seconds to get off your fat, lazy ass and do those squats. Now let's go.
You impose fatness on you. You did it by going, oh, I want the butter on the popcorn. Oh, I want the butter on the ice cream. Oh, I want the butter on the sandwich. Oh, I want the butter on the salad. Stop eating butter. Can you just get up, walk 1 mile?
To squat!
Walk farther. And if you can't walk, crawl, roll, get dragged by a goddamn forklift. Whatever is wrong with you, just move. Ever. Get off the chair, get off the couch. No one is coming to service you while you sink into that furniture, while you become one with the pleather your poor ass got on that Walmart couch. Can you try not floating into sadness? Stop eating, stop drinking, start walking, start doing anything that you haven't been doing, you fat piece of shit.
I got 35 done. How many did you get done? 35. I'm out of breath. All right, I got to catch my breath while we get back to this. Pelvic thrust. Oh, you did pelvic thrusts. Good. That's a good one. Yes. Yeah, don't pull anything, DC Primetime. Absolutely not. And if trolls are in the chat, again, remind them, if they want me to pay attention to them, it's a $10 minimum. All right, let's go.
You recognize that picture?
That's Kaylee. That's my granddaughter, Kaylee.
This time, Your Honor, move into evidence States Exhibit A for identification.
What says the defense? There being no objection, it be received in evidence as states numbered.
And I've published it to the jury. Do you know approximately when this was taken in terms of its proximity to the last time that you saw her?
This would have to be probably the early part of 2008. I'm just going to guess somewhere in that January to March, April time. I'm just taking a wild guess. Probably in that first quarter of 2008.
Does this fairly and accurately depict her appearance the last time you saw her in terms of general appearance and hair and all those kinds of things?
Generally, yes, it does. I mean, she could have her hair back from time to time. She could have glasses on. But this is definitely Kaylee.
Now, take us to the morning of the 16th of June of 2008. It was a Monday morning. Tell us how that morning began for you.
With me waking up probably about the time that my wife had just left for work or going to work. Me getting up and having my normal cup of coffee, just starting my day off a little bit early like I generally have, and having Kaylee come out and be able to spend some time with her.
Was that a normal course of events for you to have some morning time with Kaylee?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there would be times that after she'd be in Casey's room with her, she would come out and I'd take her first thing is to make sure that she would freshen herself up, brush her teeth, go use the facility around that she needed to do because she was starting to do that, and just, maybe wash your face off and just say, hey, this is how you want to go with JoJo and get some cereal and things. So that was the start of our day. That was pretty much not an everyday occurrence, but it was pretty regular.
And is that how it went on this particular morning?
Oh, absolutely. It was a great morning to just have some fun together. Her and I act silly and dance around and watch a video or whatever it might be. So color.
What was her favorite video? Did she have a favorite?
Oh my gosh. Lady and the Tramp was a fantastic video for her to watch. 101 Dalmatians that she called Dalmatians. There was just a lot of different things that just captivated her that she loved. I wish I could remember more right now, but those two, I know she watched quite frequently and enjoyed the most.
Now, this particular morning, do you recall when you first saw Casey?
Probably could have been about 9, 10 o'clock that morning, roughly right around there, her just getting up and getting her day started and just, I can't remember exactly what she did to get ready that day for work or something like that. I know it was to me, it was a lot of precious time for me to spend with Kaylee. So whatever Casey could have done in that morning, been on the computer, whatever she was doing, I'd let her do her thing, because when you got time with your grandchild, your own child sometimes takes a back seat to that.
Okay. Was it just a normal morning? Anything out of the ordinary occurred? Anything different than the usual mornings that you had?
Not really anything I can really say that really stuck out at all. I just know that I was just so thankful to have time with Kaylee, talking to Casey. I'm sure we had a conversation about work or something. I don't remember the specifics about that aspect of it, but I do know that it was, when people talk about a typical or routine morning before they went off to work, probably just one of those typical times that we all sort of just take for granted sometimes.
All right. So did there come a
What
time
did I miss?
when
I went to get coffee.
Kaylee and Casey left the house that day?
That is something that is forever in my mind that I can't forget that day, because that's the last day that I saw Kaylee and Casey together. I was watching a specific program on TV. It's on the Food Channel on one of our local cable TVs. And this gentleman who has this show called Drive Up Diners and Dives. I've just been amazed by his stuff. I just like him going around. But what's really just amazing is I remember the time because it was a commercial break on TV. And I remember Kaylee coming out from Casey's room.
Did you do squats at work?
Dressed in a nice little pink top. She had her blue jeans, little shorts on.
Pay
her white
attention to this
sandals,
part.
pink socks, her white sunglasses, her hair pulled back, and she had a little backpack on. And I said, where are you going? And she says, going with mommy. And I said, oh, really? I said, where are you going? I'm going to see Zanny. And I said, really? Great. You know, I'm just excited. I'm just knowing that she's happy and I can see excitement in her. And within a few minutes, Casey comes out and, you know, dressed. And she says, Dad, we're going to work. I might be home late, or I'll let you guys know I might be staying over.
Staying over where?
She said, you know, probably Zanny's house, because Zanny was, I guess, lived somewhere close by, or she didn't want to come home too late. And plus Kaylee would be in bed between 8:30, probably 9 o'clock. And I said, okay, it's something that happened every once in a while. It wasn't an occurrence that occurred all the time. It could be every once in a great while. She would stay with a friend or stay at Zanny's house or something like that. So
up to this point in time, had you ever met Zanny?
No, I never met Zanny, never had any reason to, because I thought that's who Kaylee was seeing.
You told us about the conversation with Kaylee and with Casey. What happened?
I went out, like generally like I did when I could see them when seeing Casey going off to work, and walking out with Kaylee and seeing Kaylee getting placed in the car, getting buckled in her car seat. Just a normal type stuff. And I did. I'd blow her a kiss and say, Josie, I'll see you later. And she'd blow a kiss back and give Casey a hug. Just told her, you know, drive safe, make sure you come home, not too late, you know, just normal father, grandfather type things to do.
And did you see them leave in a vehicle?
They left in Casey's car, which is a Pontiac Sunfire.
That's a white Pontiac Sunfire?
Yes.
Did you ever see Kaylee again?
I've never seen Kaylee since June 16th. I haven't seen her since.
Now, Mr. Anthony, I need to ask you some questions about something else. Have you ever sexually molested your daughter, Casey Anthony?
No, sir.
Have you ever committed any sexually inappropriate act with or in the presence of your daughter, Casey Anthony?
No, sir.
Why is she shaking her head no?
Were you present in your home when Kaylee Anthony died?
No, and when I heard that today, it hurt really bad. Because if I would have known something would have happened to Kaylee, we wouldn't be here today.
Now, let me just ask you a couple of questions. When you were a law enforcement officer, were you trained in CPR?
Yes, sir.
Is there any extent that you would not have gone to save Kaylee's life?
I would have done everything possible, humanly possible, to save my granddaughter. If what was stated prior would have happened, I would have done anything I would to save my granddaughter.
Did you dispose of the body of your granddaughter?
I agree with this guy.
No, I did not.
Did you obtain duct tape from your shed or garage and place it over the nose and mouth of Kaylee Anthony?
No, I did not.
Did you have any role or any knowledge that Kaylee Marie Anthony died on June 16th, 2008, prior to recent revelations?
No, sir. I never had any duct tape. I never knew of anything that happened to Kaylee until our life started to unfold on July 15th, 2008, and when Kaylee was found on December 11th.
Your Honor, I have no further questions of the witness at this time. I would like to reserve the right to recall.
All right, here we go. Jose Baez is about to cross-examine.
Cross-examination.
He really is good, you guys. He's really good. I mean, he does nail him on a couple of things where you're like, yeah, you know what? That is weird. Yeah, and I don't know why he said he never had any duct tape, because he knows damn well there was duct tape in the garage. Why didn't he just say, yeah, I had duct tape, But I think the question was, did you use duct tape on the body or whatever?
Mr. Anthony, when did you first find out your daughter was pregnant?
I believe it was sometime in May or June of 2005.
So she was 7 months pregnant when
Get
you first
ready.
found out?
6, 7 months. It could have been right around that time, yes.
Do you recall going to a wedding that was Cindy's brother's wedding?
I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but I did not attend the wedding.
Were you ever confronted by Rick, her brother, about Casey's pregnancy?
We had a brief discussion about it, but I told Rick it was none of his concern, none of his business. Whatever was going on with Casey would be handled through Cindy and I. We're there for Casey. You don't have to worry about it.
So is it your testimony today that you knew she was pregnant and you just didn't want him to know, or you didn't know she was pregnant at the time?
I didn't have an exact knowledge of the time that she was, when I found out that she was pregnant, I didn't have that exact knowledge at that time. Did I have a feeling? Possibly, yes, no. But no, I mean, I did see a change physically in Casey, but nothing that I know that Cindy and I weren't going to, help her with or attend to.
So the photograph that you saw here today, you don't believe? Yes.
Yes.
Casey claims that she never left Kaylee with George, that she only was with Cindy or the nanny. Or no, because the nanny was fake. So she was with her grandmother or with her mother.
Mr. Baez, if it's not in evidence, you may.
Mr. Baez, if it's not in evidence, don't you show that to the jury.
Is that a fair and accurate representation?
Oh, look, there's the advertisement again on the back of his.
Absolutely. Like I said, I did not attend the wedding. I was there, but I didn't go to the wedding that day. But as far as that being Casey and Cindy together, yes.
Judge, unless there's any objection, I'd like to move Defense Exhibit A into evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. Object, counsel.
Sustain.
We'll call him back for that.
Yeah, more graphics ads. Maybe that's what we were seeing. Maybe the graphics ad we were seeing before was it. It was
So
just
we can all be
leaned up
clear,
against
Mr.
the desk. So that's Jose Baez's exhibit, and he had it
So we
leaned
can all
up
be
against
clear,
the
Mr.
desk.
Anthony. Did you know your daughter was pregnant the day the photograph was taken?
Not exactly. I mean, I had a feeling that she was, but then again, like I've stated, until we knew for sure, until we could take her in for some kind of test or something like that.
So the answer is no?
Yeah, the answer is no. I mean, do I feel, does it look like it at that point, that photograph? Yeah, possibly.
I didn't ask you that. I just asked you, did you know if your daughter was pregnant the day that photograph was taken? Your answer is no?
No, not exactly. No.
Not
And
exactly.
you were a
Yes
father
or
of
no?
two.
Yes.
And you were a father of two when that photo was taken.
Yes.
And is it your idea that your daughter had a beer belly?
I think the term was considered at one point maybe with retaining water, something like that. It's possible. I mean, I didn't believe that my daughter could be going to have a child right at that time, but stuff happens. I mean,
Did anyone know that Casey was pregnant when that photograph was taken? Anyone outside?
Sustain.
Did you tell anyone at that time that Casey was pregnant?
Why would he do
No,
that? He
not
said
that
he
time
didn't
I
know
did
she was
that, no.
pregnant.
And when you were confronted with her pregnancy, you didn't want to talk about it, did you?
the first time I heard about Casey expecting a child is when Cindy and Casey came back to our house and we sat down on the couch together, or very close to the proximity of our couch in our house. And Casey and Cindy told me that they have something that they wanted to tell me about.
And you didn't have a clue that Casey was pregnant up until that moment?
Like I said, maybe a feeling or an intuition to a point, but when they told me, I was elated. I was excited.
You have no problems with your vision, do you, sir?
No, sir, I do not.
This is my cousin Vinny moment.
Was there an explanation given by your daughter lived with you, did she not?
Yes.
Every day?
Every day.
And you saw her every day?
Pretty much so. I'd say probably 99% of the time I would see her, yes.
And 6 months prior to that photograph being taken, did you see her retaining water then?
Well, I really don't believe that you see a person or a woman. Each woman is made up differently. Each woman is going to show a pregnancy differently.
My question to you, sir, is 6 months prior to the photograph being taken, did you see your daughter retaining water then?
6 months? No, did not.
Have you, prior to Casey being pregnant, had you ever seen her retaining water prior to that?
When Casey was younger, I know she put on weight here and there when she was involved with athletics and things like that. Casey was a very athletic young lady growing up.
And when she was younger and putting on weight due to being in athletics, did the weight gain in her stomach or elsewhere?
Stomach, it could be in her hindsight or her butt. Some people would consider it could be in her shoulders, and she would work out and it would sort of go away. She was an avid runner.
So as she was an avid runner, she would gain a belly?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying through her activity, if she shouldn't be running as much or being as active, I think anyone is going to put on weight with inactivity.
Now, you mentioned that you were in the delivery room. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
And
weird.
You assisted in the delivery?
No, I did not assist. I was there and observed my granddaughter being delivered.
And you didn't know who the father was up until that day?
No, I did not. Did not know that.
You didn't ask?
Not up to that point, I didn't, because when I found out that I was going to be a grandfather, Casey was expecting a child, and we went through the different tests and we went.
My question to you, sir, is did you ask?
I think it was shortly thereafter, or right around maybe just before she had delivery. I'm not sure of the exact time when I finally did ask. And I remember a name of Baker was brought up.
So the answer is yes, you did ask.
Yes.
Now, how soon after finding out that your only daughter is pregnant did you ask? Who's the father?
I don't know. It could have been, like I said, just prior to her delivering Kaylee.
So
I'm not really sure. I don't have an exact timetable. You're asking me to be specific.
Just a second. Please let the witness finish answering the question before there's another question.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Are you finished, sir?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Now, after you find out your daughter is going to be giving birth to your first grandchild, how long after did she give birth?
Well, if I just found out in May or June, we had, Kaylee was delivered in August. So it was over 2 to 3 months, give or take a few weeks.
So in the entire 2 months, you never stopped your daughter and asked her, who is the father of this child?
Sustained.
You didn't ask her up until just before the child was born.
Sustained.
The day after,
Funny, Andrew.
or the day you were confronted with this news, did you hold a party or anything like that?
No, just
a baby shower?
Mr. Anthony, did you answer?
Hey, before I forget, you guys, Farron had a tough night last night, which some of us noticed, and her chat got raided by a lot of trolls who were abusing her pretty much. So if you like Fair and Balanced, head over there at some point today and leave her a nice comment, okay? Because I think she could use it. I think she could use a cheering up after the night she had last night. I know some of you were asking me about. I did talk to her. She's okay, but she could use some nice words, and we should all remember that kind words, even on the internet, they matter.
The question, sir. The day that I found out that I was going to be a grandfather, when I first got the news of Casey's pregnancy, and there was only Cindy, Casey, and I at our house.
Now, you testified under direct examination that you thought your daughter was working. Did you not?
Yes.
Do you recall speaking to the FBI on July 31st of 2008? Excuse me, July 30th.
I had spoken to the FBI, the Sheriff's Department, numerous agents, a couple different agencies within a 2 or 3 week period.
And when you spoke to the FBI, did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her.
Just a second.
Sure.
Sustain, rephrase your question.
Yes, I'll rephrase the question. On July 30th of 2008, do you recall speaking to an agent, Scott Boland, and an agent McEllier?
If that was the date that you have written down, that's probably the date that I did. I can't be specific on a timetable because I don't have information in front of me, but I'm sure that probably
Page 35, counsel, lines 1 through 4.
The chat is asking, did George Anthony attempt to commit suicide? So apparently, yes, that happened. Hold on a second. Let me show you this. He left a suicide note. A suicide note that was written by Casey Anthony's father was published to the jury during day 32 of her first-degree murder trial. George Anthony's suicide attempt occurred on January 22nd, 2009. On that day, former Anthony family lawyer Brad Conway contacted law enforcement and reported George Anthony missing. In his 911 call, Conway said that Anthony has taken several bottles of medication from the house as well as some pictures. The following day, police found a despondent Anthony along with a suicide note at a Daytona Beach, Florida hotel. Anthony was taken into police custody and briefly held at a medical center for evaluation. The prosecution entered the suicide note into evidence this afternoon during the rebuttal to the defense's case. The note read in part, Cynthia Marie, as you get this letter, there should be no surprise that I have decided to leave the earth because I need to be with Kaylee Marie. I cannot keep on going because it should be me that is gone from this earth, not her. I have lived many years. I am satisfied with my decision because I have never been the man you, Lee, Casey, and especially Kaylee Marie deserved. I have never been the man any of you could count on. I have always let each of you down in more ways than I could remember. I do not feel sorry for myself. I am just sorry I burden all of you the way I have. My loss of life is meaningless. I cannot be strong anymore. Kaylee Marie, our granddaughter, I miss her. I miss her so much. I know you do too. You were always the one that provided for her. What did I provide? I blame myself for her being gone. You know, for months, as a matter of fact, for a year or so, I brought stuff up only to be told not to be negative. I sit here falling apart because I should have done more. She was so close to home. Why was she there? Who placed her there? Why is she gone? Why? For months, you and I, especially you, always questioned why. I want this to go away for Casey. What happened? Why could she not come to us, especially you? Why not Lee? Who is involved with this stuff for Kaylee? I am going crazy because I want to go after these people Casey hung with prior to Kaylee being gone. That is why I got that gun. I wanted to scare these people, you know. They know more than they have stated. You cannot sugarcoat, kid glove these people. They need hard knocks to get info from. Sure, that will not bring Kaylee Marie back, but was Casey threatened? You know Casey does not deserve to be where she is. I miss her. I miss her so much. I'm worried for her. Her personal safety is always on my mind. I cannot function knowing our granddaughter is gone. Kaylee Marie never had a chance to grow. I have taken what meds was given to me with alcohol and I'm ready to give up. As I can tell by my writing and thinking, I'm getting very stupid. Wow, what a word, stupid. Yes, I am. Again, I do not feel sorry for myself, but yes, I am stupid. Can't deal with this stuff anymore. The loss of Kaylee Marie, the loss of Casey, the loss of us, Cynthia Marie, the meds, I am ready. Saying goodbye, please understand it is for the best. I do not deserve life anymore. Anymore us. You know, I never got to say goodbye. I'm at this place and all is getting fuzzy and my writing is all over the place. I love you. I love you. I hope you get to see Casey soon. All the people we met. Wow, the writing is getting weird. I love you. I'm sorry. I will take care of Kaylee once I get to God. I'm so tired. At least I shaved today. Wow, I'm tripping out. I'm sorry. I love you. Cynthia Marie. Kaylee, here I come. So that happened. But I mean, I think you could explain that by a grieving grandfather too. Like, did he set it up so it sounds like he didn't do it? Was this a real suicide attempt? I'm sure that's what people, are questioning, and I'm sure that's what the defense probably made an argument for. But yes, that did happen. I just wanted to answer that since I could look it up for you.
Did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her?
Just a second.
I don't believe it is, Judge. Lines 1 through 4.
When you give the line and page, give counsel an opportunity to find the line.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next question.
Did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her, I've had a feeling for the last 2 years my daughter has not worked? Did you make that statement, Mr. Anthony?
I did.
So was the statement you made under direct examination to this jury the truth, or was it to the FBI the truth?
Approach.
Now, Mr. Anthony, you believed your daughter was working.
Yes, I believe Casey was working. Yes.
And every 2 weeks, did she come home with a paycheck?
No, I never really saw a paycheck from her because if she had a direct deposit or however she handled her finances, that was up to her.
What did you see your daughter spending her paycheck on?
Pardon me?
What did you see your daughter spending her paycheck on?
Well, hopefully for necessities for her daughter, gas for her car, insurance to insure that car. I mean, we were very, very good about helping Casey out in any way we possibly could if she was struggling financially or anything like that at all. I mean, we just wanted to make sure she was responsible
Obviously,
for
they
herself.
took care of her.
And
that's a true statement, what he
since
just
you
said.
were wanting to,
because she didn't have a job for how long? And she was still being cared for and fed and and Kaylee was getting what she needed from her parents. So her parents did take care of her. That's true.
to find out that she was responsible for her child. When did you ask to meet the nanny?
This is weird.
I never asked to meet a nanny. I never did.
And did the nanny ever call the house?
Not that I am ever aware of.
When you know
Did
your
you
daughter
ever hear
lies,
the nanny speaking to Casey on the phone?
when you know your daughter has a lying problem, as he surely knew, he knew that she lied all the time. I am shocked that neither he nor Cindy wanted to meet this nanny and see, especially when he started to question whether she had a job or not. Why didn't he want to meet the nanny? It is weird. Again, though, maybe he was also having an affair, caught up in his own shit. Who knows?
Phone?
No.
And did you ever see photographs of the nanny?
No.
Did you ever see anything written describing a phone number or anything like that? Any information about the nanny?
No, just whatever Casey told us about that she had someone that was helping take care of Kaylee when her mother and I weren't available to.
And every day she would get up, get dressed, and go to work and drop Kaylee off with the nanny.
That's what we were told she was doing. I mean, I had no reason really at too much of at any point not to disbelieve or believe my daughter. I mean, she was taking care of her child the best way she possibly could.
Is that a yes?
Well, I think you got an open-ended question there to a point, and I'm trying to answer the best way I possibly can. I mean, did I ever know that she was dropping Kaylee off every time, sir? That's what you're sort of asking me. I don't know. I was hoping she was taking her to someone she described or told us was a nanny.
My question to you, sir, is
I was hoping,
did
but
she
I didn't
get dressed
verify.
and go to work and leave the child with a nanny, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yes.
For 2 years.
It might not have been an exact 2-year period. It could have been a little bit less than that. You know, I'm not really known how long that she might have been.
A year and a half.
Possibly a year and a half, could have been a year. I'm not really sure.
So you don't know the different, you know, Kaylee was only 2.5.
Yes.
Correct. So for most of her life, Casey dropped her off at a nanny that didn't exist. I'll rephrase it, Judge.
Sustain.
For 2 years, Casey dropped Kaylee off at a nanny that you never met.
Maybe not a whole 2 years. But to answer your question, yes, someone that I never met, someone I had never had a phone number for or had any indication to go to pick Kaylee up or anything like that.
For most of her life.
For probably maybe a half of her life. I'm just going in a roundabout way. But actually to answer your question, Kaylee, when Kaylee came up missing, Kaylee was 2 years and 10 months, not 2.5. So that needs to be clarified, sir, with you.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Did you ever go to a sports authority to verify if Casey worked there?
Absolutely, I did, yes.
And you found out she wasn't working there?
I found out that she was not employed there because I went to go surprise my daughter at lunch.
Just surprise her?
Yeah, to take my daughter to lunch just to see how she was doing. Yes.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that you suspected she was not working?
That was a twofold thing, yes, to see if she was there. And if she was there, great, terrific, I'll take her out to lunch.
So which was it? Was it because you wanted to surprise her for lunch or you wanted to verify and see if she was lying to you?
Sustain.
Are you saying, sir, that both of those were the reasons?
Nice work,
Is
Dick.
that what your testimony is?
One, hoping that she was working there. Secondly, if she was, I would take her out to lunch.
Now, the Sports Authority was not Universal Studios.
No, it was not, but I understood from Casey being an event planner, again, they do not run these events every single day. She can
My
only
question
be.
to you, sir, is Sports Authority.
I'm trying to explain.
Sustain. Listen, folks. Ask the question. Let there be a break between the answer, Mr. Anthony. The court reporter cannot take it down when both of you are talking. And if a witness is being over-responsive, counsel say the witness is being over-responsive. But do not interrupt a witness when the witness is attempting to answer the question.
And since the judge is admonishing people right now, I feel that it's the right time to admonish you people. Those of you over on Rumble, and there are quite a few of you, you are losing today. You're losing in the rants versus super chats battle. The super chats have been much more plentiful over on YouTube than on Rumble. You're not going to let that stand, are you? Hashtag rants for pants. Come on, folks. Listen, this is quality entertainment. And if you can't pay for quality entertainment, then you're just cheap or something. I don't know. But it's also Christmas, so I get it. Never mind. Let's move on.
You may proceed.
But don't forget to hit the plussy,
Sports
please.
Authority is not the same
Or that little like button
as Universal Studios.
on YouTube's
I
via
will
the
agree.
internets.
Yes.
Now, did you ever go to Universal Studios to inquire if your daughter was working?
No, I did not.
I think
I
he
want to
knew.
discuss
He knew she wasn't working.
June 16th of 2008. Do you understand?
Yes.
You said you had breakfast with Kaylee.
Yes.
Kaylee would often have breakfast with you.
Numerous times, yes, we'd have breakfast together. Yes.
Kaylee loved to swim.
Yes.
and Kaylee would almost go swimming every day.
More, she would go as frequently as I know that Cindy would take her or Cece would take her. I rarely ever got in the pool with Kaylee unless Cindy and I were there together with her.
Kaylee would wake you up and say, "Jojo, swim. Jojo, swim."
She did a few times, yes.
And Kaylee could get out of the house relatively easily, correct?
Relatively easy. I'll agree with you to that, yes.
Now, around June 16, 2008, you were having significant marital problems with Cindy, were you not?
Not on that particular day, no.
Let's go back for a little bit. Once Kaylee was born, you moved out, did you not?
Approach. You may proceed.
Now, when Kaylee was born, you moved out.
No.
Around that time. How many months before you moved out?
November, towards the end of November, first part of December 2005.
Sorry?
Towards the end of November, the beginning of December 2005.
So Kaylee would have been just a few weeks, a couple months old?
If I'm not mistaken, from August to December could only be almost 4 months.
I'm sorry?
From August to December could be almost 4 months or going into like a 5th month.
She was an infant when you moved out.
Yes, yes.
And Lee also moved out.
Lee was out on his own, trying to establish himself as a young man in the world, just trying to get out to be on his own, to have some responsibility.
And the issues with you moving out of the house was because Casey didn't want you around.
No,
that correct?
That wasn't the reason.
What were the reasons for you moving out of the house?
Cindy and I had some financial difficulties. We were going through a really tough marital time, and that is a personal matter between her and I. That's not for the court or you to decide. I'm not on trial here for that.
This is when you told Cindy you had a gambling problem, correct?
I'd done some gambling on the internet. Yes, sir. That's well established, and I'm not going to deny that. I did it.
Now, did you tell the FBI that it wasn't a gambling problem, that you fell for some Nigerian bank scam?
There was a Nigerian bank scam and also some minor gambling that was done on it.
Oh,
So,
no,
I mean,
the
I didn't lie to
Nigerian
them. I told them the truth. I'm telling you the truth today.
So it's both. You were gambling and you fell for a Nigerian bank scam as well.
And I believe there's other people that have happened to. Yes, sir, it did. Yes.
And when you moved back, the tension between you and Casey continued.
Not really. There was some tension because I had moved out of the house, but it wasn't because of prior tension between Kaylee and I or Casey and I or anything like that. I mean, Cindy and I were going through a rough time. It happens. But as far as when I came back to the house, things were a lot better because I didn't just come back all of a sudden. It took months for me to gain some confidence back with Cindy
True,
and
Julie.
our marriage and stuff again.
But that
And that's
doesn't make
something
him a
we're still working on
murderer
today.
or a child abuser.
Now, going back to June 16th, after you had breakfast with Kaylee, what did Kaylee do then?
Oh, we watched a DVD. I'm almost positive we did. As far as which one, I can't remember specifically. But just spending time with her, coloring a coloring book was something we did pretty much an everyday occurrence.
And
Just spending time with her.
And it's your testimony that both Casey and Kaylee left the house at 12:50.
12:50 or shortly thereafter. Yes, sir. Positive. I know that for a fact.
And what time did you go to work at that day?
Shortly after 2 o'clock, 2:10, 2:15. I only had about a 10-minute drive to go to work, and I just lived a short distance. I mean, I worked a short distance away.
Now, you described to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what Kaylee was wearing that day.
Yes.
And that was a pink top.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And jean shorts.
Yes.
And white sunglasses.
She had white sunglasses. Yes.
This part is
And a backpack with
something.
monkeys on it. that correct?
When I first was asked the question by the state, I just said a backpack, but yeah, it did have what I believe was a monkey design on it, yes.
What did Cindy wear that day?
I have no idea. I can't remember what Cindy wore that morning because Cindy would leave sometime between 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
What's
I mean,
Cindy wear?
she was very professional wearing it. Could have been a pair of slacks and a top. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
What did Cindy wear the next day?
Overrule as to that question.
What did Cindy wear the next day?
Again, it could have been slacks. It could have been a dress, a nice top. I don't know. I don't know what Cindy wore the next day.
Now, you weren't asked about what Kaylee was wearing for 1 month after she went missing, correct?
You're going to have to give me a little bit more of a question here for me to give you an
Nobody asked you what Kaylee was wearing the last time you saw her until
Breaking
July 15th, 2008.
Breaking
1
news.
month after you.
Cynthia Absug has been released from jail in Colorado. She is no longer in the Douglas County Jail. She's been released. She's finished with her sentence, and she is back in Boulder. And she is going to be on probation now for, what was the probation? 2 or 3 years. It's not good because I know she really wants to leave Colorado, but she won't be able to for the next several years. So she's about to rebuild her life, try to get a job, try to get back in school. And obviously the appeal will be coming soon. If you're not familiar with the Absug case, Colorado versus Cynthia Absug, you can read about that on pjmedia.com. I also want to mention about this interrogation right here with George Anthony. I think it is really weird that he could name in detail down to the very how Kaylee was wearing her hair that day and what type of clothing she was wearing. Why does he remember that so vividly, but he doesn't remember what anybody else was wearing that day? There was nothing significant about that day. It was just another day. So why a month later does he remember exactly what she was wearing? There were no pictures taken that we know of on that day. How does he know? And that, if I'm on the jury, that absolutely puts a reasonable doubt in my mind that this man is not telling the truth.
You last saw her.
That's correct because I didn't know that we would be having a missing child in our lives and be thrown into this. I didn't know anything about that, but I specifically know what she wore because that's the last time I saw her and that's what she had on.
And you had no idea when you saw her for the last time that would be the last time you saw her.
That's correct.
But yet 1 month later, you still remember what she was wearing.
Sustain.
Did you remember 1 month later what Kaylee was wearing?
Sustain.
But you can't recall what your wife was wearing.
Sustain.
Do you remember what your wife was wearing last Tuesday?
It is relevant. It is relevant. I mean, the objections are getting sustained, but the question is valid. You can't remember what she was wearing yesterday. How do you remember a month after your granddaughter goes missing what she was wearing?
You reported gas cans missing on the 24th of June, right?
Okay, but Sinbad, that happened in one day though, right? Like he was killed and you found out about it at least that day or the next following day. These people thought this kid was with her mother for 30 days. They didn't figure out that she was missing for 30 whole days. So it makes sense to me that you would remember the day, what your son was wearing the last time you saw him, because I'm sure that happened in kind of a quick succession. Or maybe I'm wrong. Was it many days until you found out? But there is something about this that doesn't make sense to me. There's something about it that doesn't make sense. Like, he didn't know anything bad had happened. So you would remember if it happened on that day or the day after or whatever. But would you remember what she had been wearing 30 days prior when you find out 30 days later that she's missing? Would you recall that? Because nothing traumatic happened that would cement it in your memory. Okay, Psychic Goldfish says, I would say children's clothes are generally more interesting than adult clothes and possibly easier to remember. It's also possible that he thought back to that day many times during that 30-day period, because he might have been wondering, why haven't I seen her? Where is she? And was just remembering what she had on. That's possible. That's possible. Yeah, and those of you wondering, Sinbad has talked about her son's death several times here. He was murdered by an Amber Heard type girlfriend, and it's really sad. And we wish you all the love that we have and our condolences, because it's a really terrible thing, an absolutely terrible thing. And women do abuse. We want to remember that.
So yes.
May I answer, Your Honor?
Yes, you can answer.
On June 24th of 2008, yes, I made a report to the Orange County Sheriff's Department about a break-in of a shed. Someone forcibly broke into a shed and removed gas cans.
And you did that because you were concerned that someone was burglarizing your shed.
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, you knew Casey would take gas from the gas cans, did you not?
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, when you got the gas cans back from your daughter, how did that occur?
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, did you ever notice any duct tape on that gas can?
Yes. You may continue.
Mr. Anthony, you testified today that Kaylee did not drown in the pool, correct?
That's correct.
And you said that when you heard this today, we would not be here if that were the case. Do you remember saying those words?
Yes, sir.
But you've heard this previously, have you not?
Okay.
Was the question is phrased?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and you've heard this previously from several different areas, do you not? Did you not?
No, sir, just one area.
You've also heard from the prosecution that that's how Kaylee died. Did you not?
Yep.
You may. Objection sustained. Rephrase the question.
Mr. Anthony, you met yesterday with the prosecutor. No.
Yes, for a brief period of time, I talked to Mr. Ashton, yes.
And you spoke to Mr. Ashton about the testimony today.
Briefly, yes, we just discussed how I would be basically questioned by the state, by him, and there was no exact questions or anything like that. We just went over a generality of things. Yes, sir.
So you were prepped and
no, sir, I was not prepped. No, that's a misconception. I was not prepped. I was just told that I'd possibly, or it looked like I'd be the first person called, and that we would talk about my granddaughter, and we've done that.
How long did you meet with Mr. Ashton?
About an hour, roughly. I'm just roughly guessing.
And he told you the questions he was going to ask you?
No, sir. I already answered
Just
that.
a second.
Thanks for the super chat. There is only one more. If his wife is up and gone for work before he gets up and she gets home long before he does, I'm not sure this is as sus as they make it sound.
At this point.
But Baez is really good at making it sound suspicious, isn't he? But that's his job. That's his job, and he does it well.
Now,
Just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, the court at an appropriate time in talking about judging the credibility of witnesses, the court will instruct you it is entirely proper for a witness to discuss their testimony with their attorneys prior to them coming into court, and that a witness should not be discredited by talking to an attorney. Instruction will read exactly: it is entirely proper for a lawyer to talk to a witness about the testimony the witness would give if called into the courtroom. The witness should not be discredited by talking to a lawyer about his or her testimony. You may continue.
You currently have a lawyer, do you not?
Yes, I do.
And within 24 hours of reporting Kaylee missing, you had a lawyer then by the name of Paul Kelly, did you not?
Overruled at this point. Mr. Paul Kelly is a workers' comp attorney. I did seek his advice when this first occurred because I had no one else to turn to. And with him having legal knowledge, yes, I did, but I did not retain him. He was there just as, we brought him in as a friend to help us through the first hour, the first few days, whatever it's going to be. He was never, we'd never retained him. He was there just to counsel us through something, help us go in the right direction if we needed some kind of assistance.
You sought legal advice from him within 24 hours of calling law enforcement, did you not?
We had Mr. Kelly to our house the day that we first met you at our house. If I am pretty much on point with that. Prior to that, I never talked to Mr. Kelly.
You sought legal advice from Mr. Kelly. Is that a yes?
Anybody who
Didn't ask you
doesn't
when.
seek legal
Okay,
advice,
I will answer that yes right now.
anyone who
And that
doesn't
was
seek legal advice
within
is a moron
24
in
hours
this
of calling the
situation.
police in this case.
He absolutely should have sought legal advice. You
It
should
possibly
never,
could have been within a 24-hour period. I'm not sure.
never
That can-
use that
that's a-
against anybody.
Okay, I'll say yes at this point.
And then after you mentioned he's not a criminal defense lawyer, then you retained a criminal defense lawyer subsequent to him, did you not?
You may.
Yeah, I don't like this line of questioning about, oh, when did you speak to a lawyer?
Objection sustained.
I
Next
don't think that
question.
means anything. Guilty or innocent, you should always consult a lawyer when something like this happens. Absolutely need legal advice. It's absurd to pretend like only guilty
Now, Mr.
people
Anthony,
seek
you
legal
stated
advice.
that you never had any duct tape. Is that correct?
Yeah, why did he say that? He said that.
I didn't say anything about duct tape.
You
Yes,
heard
he
the-
did.
You've seen, are you aware
But I
of the
think he
duct tape
misspoke.
that's involved in this case?
I was made aware of it some time ago. I can't the exact nature of how I got to have knowledge of duct tape. I could have seen it on the internet or some discovery that was left out there. I'm not really sure.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure of the exact timeline. I mean, I understand that there was some duct tape that's part of this trial, part of this case.
You sat right over there while I gave my opening statement, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
So you know exactly what I'm referring to, do you not?
I might not have been paying attention.
Sustained, you can ask them about duct tape, but you can't ask them about your opening statement. Opening statement is not evidence. Next question.
You understand what the issue is, correct? You've seen the duct tape that we're referring to?
Yes.
Now, you told Mr. Ashton that you never had any duct tape. Were you in possession of that duct tape?
I don't remember that duct tape, whatever you're talking about, I remember that being exactly at my home. I mean, I've had tapes and stuff for many years. I mean, I've purchased duct tape at different places. I'm not.
What didn't you hear? What did you miss? You want me to back up a little bit? Hold on.
Yes.
Now,
That's next question.
you understand what the issue is, correct? You've seen the duct tape that we're referring to?
Yes.
Now, You told Mr. Ashton that you never had any duct tape. Were you in possession of that duct tape?
I don't remember that duct tape, whatever you're talking about, I remember that being exactly at my home. I mean, I've had tapes and stuff for many years. I mean, I've purchased duct tape at different places. I'm not.
Henkel brand duct tape.
I'm not a duct tape aficionado.
Sustained, Mr. Anthony, would you finish
I don't
answering
have
the
a
question,
favorite
please,
brand
sir?
of
That
duct
specific
tape.
one, if that was at my house, then I guess that could be considered, yes, in my possession. I had knowledge of it.
And you did not put the duct tape on that gas can, correct?
Sustained.
Were you in possession of that duct tape at the public supermarket, the command center, while you were passing out flyers of your missing granddaughter?
Sustained.
Judge, may we approach it?
No.
I have an inventory
Mr.
of every
Anthony,
roll of adhesive in my garage.
When did you first find out that your car was towed?
That's good.
Overrule as to that question.
YouTube is my
When
favorite
I
chat
first
today.
found out about our Pontiac Sunfire had been towed,
Sorry,
we
Rumble.
had received a notice through the United States Postal Service. It's like a yellowish color tag, probably about the size of this. And it just had our name on it, the person who had sent it, and it was available to be picked up, at the local post office where we get our mail delivered from.
Did you understand my question, sir? My question was,
When I first got notice of it,
when did you first know or find out that your car was towed? What date?
I believe it was Sunday, the 13th of July. It was on a Sunday.
And you picked up the car on the 15th.
Overrule.
You picked up the car on the 15th.
Yes.
And when you picked up the car, did you advise anyone that your granddaughter was missing?
If I remember correctly, when I was walking around the car with the gentleman at the tow yard, and after realizing that I hadn't seen my granddaughter for nearly a month, and I really hadn't had a lot of contact with my daughter within that month, I was concerned when I seen the car being towed there, when I saw the car had been towed there.
Did you advise anyone that your granddaughter was missing when you picked up the car?
No, not at that time. I didn't say she was missing, no.
You didn't tell anyone that you hadn't seen your granddaughter?
What I said to the tow gentleman that was there, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. It was when we were walking around the back of the car. I didn't verbally say it out loud. I think I said it in a very soft tone, that I hope this is not my daughter or my granddaughter or both, because the way the car smelled.
And that smell was the smell of human decomposition.
Sustained.
After you smelled that smell, sir, what did you do?
Mr. Baez.
You mean Harambe? Harambe Rivera? I need to clip that.
Just until this witness
It
is
was so
called for
funny.
the
It's
testimony.
Geraldo. You mean
Can you
Harambe?
redirect in those areas?
Oh, Larry.
Since Mr. Bias has raised it, tell us about the Sports Authority incident when you went to check on your daughter's work situation. What happened?
When I arrived at Sports Authority, I went inside and was met with a younger gentleman at one of the cashier areas. And I introduced myself. I said, I'm George Anthony. I'm Casey's father. Is Casey here? And the gentleman said, who's Casey? And I said, Casey Anthony. And I had given her a brief description.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it's not for the truth of the matter asserted. It's simply to establish.
Mr. Bias, she didn't hear your objection.
If I
Go
may,
ahead.
it's not for the truth of the matter asserted, just to establish the events that flow from the statement.
Objection hearsay. Oh my God, I don't advocate.
Based upon what the gentleman told you, what did you do?
I got a little concerned and I asked to see the manager.
And did you have additional conversations with him?
I had
Without
additional-
telling me what they were, did you have additional conversations with him?
I had more conversation with the manager and found out that
Don't tell me what they said.
Yes, Danielle.
Now, after that conversation, what did you do?
knowing that Casey was not there, I got in my car and left.
At some point, did you address this issue with either your wife or your daughter or both?
First time I addressed it with my wife, Cindy.
We need memes.
Right.
Harambe
And
Rivera
tell us about
memes.
that conversation.
It was not the best conversation to have with Cindy at the time because of feeling that I was invading Casey's privacy to a point, following her. Just should have just left it go and not.
Was your
been the detective of the house to go find what was going on.
Was your detective work well received by your wife?
No, it was not. It was not.
Did it create additional strife in a relationship that you were trying to repair?
Slightly, but we worked through it.
Did you address this with Casey as well?
I don't remember if I really addressed it immediately or if it was a short period of time after, or we just had a brief discussion. I don't think it was anything that was that bad. You
just let it go.
Just let it.
What did I do? I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Megan. Last time he saw Casey is what he's talking about.
2008.
I mean, the Sports Authority incident, when was
Sports
that?
Authority, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when
Sports
was that
Authority
in
incident, I believe was towards the end of 2007, could have been the early part of 2008. I'm not really sure of that generality of the time, but I know it wasn't all that long ago.
Now, let's talk about Mr. Kelly, the attorney that counsel asked you about. Had he done some work for you in the past?
He was my workers' comp attorney when I had a couple different injuries. He took care of that for me.
And how far back was that he worked as your attorney?
Overruled.
How far back was it that he had actually worked as your attorney?
He helped me two different occasions. One time was in, I believe it was 1995, 1996, and again in the early part of 2000.
Subsequent to that, had your relationship with Mr. Kelly changed from lawyer-client to something more personal?
Oh, we've been just great friends for nearly 20 years.
Yes, Andrew.
And
Sports Authority is a great place to meet people.
Socialize with his family, your kids socialize together. Was it that kind of relationship?
At least as
We've
good
been
as
out
the
to
auto
dinner
parts store.
a couple different occasions, been to his home and shared a meal at his home with him and his family.
And when you had him come to your house the day, I guess the day after you found out Kaylee was missing, was he there more as a friend or more as a legal advisor?
Overruled.
Friend, but also legal. I mean, it was a combination of both because Cindy and I didn't know where to turn, except to turn to someone that we considered our friend and had legal knowledge. So we were reaching out to just get some help.
How would you describe your emotional state on that day, the 16th of July, the day after everything was revealed and the day that, how were you feeling? What were your emotions then? No, I believe this is the date that counsel was referring to.
Overruled.
Just tell us that.
very, very tired, very edgy, hadn't had nothing to eat or drink since probably earlier the day prior to that. You talk about running on fumes. I mean, you're going in so many different directions. It's hard just to sit down and just concentrate on one particular thing, because your whole main objective is to find your missing granddaughter. That's whatever it took. I mean, to say how exactly I felt that day, I do know that we were just devastated.
No further questions.
Okay, may the witness stand down.
All right. So there you have it. That is George Anthony's testimony and cross-examination. And I think they do recall him at some point during this thing, during this trial. But that's all we're going to do today. So I just want to remind you all that my Locals channel is so fun. And right now, for just a few more days, you can, let me get that logo off my face. Why is that logo on my face? Terrible placement, Megan. All right. Just for a few more days, it's only $3 a month for the entire year. If you get a year's subscription, you get a free month with promo code PANTS. You get a free month on me. Now, we are doing movie nights. We watch Casey Anthony and her Lies, Lies, Lies All the Time documentary. And I'm thinking that the next one we might do, I have been hearing a lot of buzz, you guys, about the Scott Peterson documentary. Do you hear about this? Do you know about this? There is apparently a bunch of people now who think that Scott Peterson did not do it. I mean, you've got to be kidding me, right? Do they know the evidence against Scott Peterson? It's pretty bad. So I was thinking that maybe we will do Scott Peterson documentary. We're doing true crime documentaries. We're watching together. I am also going to be sorry, I had a thought derailment. My thought train derailed. What else was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan, we got to get through the next 2 episodes of that. So I gotta set a date to do that. In fact, what time is it? I am so busy between now and Christmas, though. I may not be able to do it until next week. I'm really sorry about that. But I'll tell you what, Locals, I will try and fit it in before, maybe I'm not going to live stream tomorrow or Friday, so maybe I can do it in the morning. Would anybody tune in for a morning screening of maybe a double feature of Harry and Meghan to get through the next 2 episodes? Because this next episode is so crazy, you guys. It's so crazy and cringe. We have to watch it. It's ridiculous. It's redonkulous. So maybe talk to me on Locals if you're part of my Locals fam, which is so great over there, you guys. Locals is so fantastic. Yeah, everybody's busy, right? It's Christmas. So like everybody's busy. So we may have to wait. If you don't want to wait, let me know on Locals and we'll figure it out. Because, worst case scenario, the replay will be available for local subscribers. So if you miss it, you won't miss it for long. I think I'll let the replay stay up for like a week. I think that's plenty of time for everybody to catch up. All right, let me get rid of this here. Okay, so Locals, meganfox.locals.com. I think that we have a great time over there, and we're doing other things over there besides watching movies. I have done cleaning streams, I've done cooking streams, and in fact, today I'm probably going to do a live stream over on Locals in a little bit to get dinner ready. Yesterday we made white chicken chili, which, by the way, that turned out excellent. It was so good. It was so good. So I highly recommend that recipe that I threw together. I need to write it out for you guys too, so I'll be doing that over on Locals. I'll write out the recipes for you guys for these things. There's a crisis cleaning stream video up there that is really great, that is available to subscribers only. It's 1 hour to get your house looking in great shape, and all you have to do is do what I tell you for an hour, 10 minutes at a time. And it's fantastic and fun, and I'm probably going to do another one of those. And so my Locals channel is where we're doing fun stuff. There's no politics. There's no No bullshit, no drama. I have a lot of women who are on my locals. There are a few brave men who join me too. And you know what? It's not just not just women who need to keep their houses clean. So this is good stuff. Somebody said to me last night, so your locals channel is like a home ec class. Well, kinda. Yeah. Yeah, the crisis cleaning stream, Danielle, is really good. It's crisis cleaning, by the way, comes from the Fly Lady. Her name is Marla Silly. She's written a book. It's called Sink Reflections. That book changed my life. I love that book. Now, I'm not great about keeping up with it. My husband will tell you I'm one of the world's worst housekeepers. But when I get overwhelmed, she really helps me. That book really helps me. And I'm giving you some of her tips over on my locals stream. How do you do a chili with a low-fat protein? Chicken. I'm telling you, white chicken chili is it's fantastic. Turkey chili is good too. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but I make a good turkey chili. And we do need home ec in schools. And my daughter, actually, in the public school where we are, my daughter's in 7th grade right now, and they have a wonderful home ec class. They get it every day, and they cook and they sew, and they learn all kinds of skills. So I'm glad that it's not gone here. Sink Reflections is the name of the book, and it's a great book. And if you are overwhelmed with your cleaning and your holiday schedule, my locals chat is a great place to be. My locals page is a great place to be. So I encourage you to sign up today. Sign up now, because it will never be this cheap again. I am the cheapest hoe on the block right now over there on locals. It's only $3 a month. And you can get it, by the way, at that price for 12 whole months with a free month on me using promo code PANTS. But you will only get this price for the rest of December. Starting January 1st, the price is going up. But if you sign up now, you're grandfathered in. So even if you sign up for just $3 a month right now and you don't want to do the full year, you're still going to get that $3 price through the rest of the year until the next re-up comes along. So you get grandfathered in at that cheap price. Yeah, clean your damn room. That's right. Do you ever watch crime scene cleanup shows? No, I have not seen those, but that sounds terrifying, and that sounds like something that would make me lose my appetite. So I'm not sure I would want to watch that. Although my house sometimes looks like a crime scene. I'm not going to lie. My kitchen in particular looks like a crime scene most of the time. And, with 3 kids who are constantly going in and out and doing, messing up things, it never stays clean, which is very depressing. And I sometimes feel like, it's a losing proposition, but we keep going and we keep pushing and we keep trying, right? So I'm not going to see you until after Christmas. And I really wish you a very Merry Christmas, unless you're on locals. And then I'm going to see you because we're going to do cooking streams and stuff. But if you are a YouTube and Rumble or Facebook viewer, and by the way, if you're on Facebook, please go over to Megan Fox Author on Facebook, because I do have a page there. And even if you don't watch me on Facebook, just go ahead and follow my page, because I'm trying to get 1,000 more subscribers over there. And then they are going to monetize my channel, which is great. And I'm excited about that. So go over there and follow me on Facebook, even if you never use it. I never use Facebook. Never. But I've noticed that the viewers over there are not so great anymore. I don't know why. During Johnny Depp trial, the viewers were huge on Facebook. Now it's just kind of like, eh. But if you follow me over there, we might be able to make Facebook give up some money, which would be fantastic, because then I could beg you for rants and super chats less. Thank you for all the super chats today, by the way. I really appreciate that. And what else? Yeah, I think I'll be back. I don't know what my schedule is going to be like next week, but that's another reason why you should sign up on locals, because you can get all my announcements about when I'm going live on locals, and you can do that for free. You can follow my locals page for free. There is free content there as well as paid content. And for sure, you'll get all the notifications that YouTube doesn't give you. YouTube is so bad about that. So bad. Oh yeah, the cookie making picture was funny. Yeah, my children were decorating gingerbread cookies for their the gingerbread houses, and they were making them obscene, and it was with gumdrops and eyeballs and wearing thongs. It was really funny. It was really, really funny. And I did post a picture of that on my locals. So check it out at meganfox.locals.com. There are no nudes, but there are some Ass Wednesday photo. There is at least one Ass Wednesday photo of me cleaning. During the cleaning streams, I was taking funny screenshots of me bending over. And there's at least one of them on there. Oh, Lady Autumn Sky, you should join. We have such a great community over there. It's my favorite place to be. I'm like checking locals before I even go on Twitter anymore. And that's where I do all my interactions with the followers over there. I'm in the chat all the time. We have live chats going all the time. And it's really a lot of fun, DC Primetime, I'm glad that you that you found me through DUI Guy. He's terrific. I'm glad that you came and checked out my channel. Locals is fantastic, you guys. And not only is it a great place to be, and we're having so much fun over there, but they are a community that really cares about their creators. And they have done really wonderful things for me. And they don't censor, and they don't shadow ban, and they don't ban us for no reason, and they don't yeet us off the platform. And so we really need to support locals, support the platforms like Rumble and Locals that, actually help creators instead of harm them. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas, and I'll see you again very soon.
I was so lost, my world is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. Oh, and my heart, a million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say. No, I don't wanna say goodbye. This time I know my road is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. And my heart, a million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say. No, I don't wanna say goodbye. No, I don't wanna say goodbye.
So I take it that
Johnny's
you've
problem
seen
is he
Cameron
should have
John's
come
bedroom
storming
before.
in there with
Yeah.
a string of
Do you
garlic
recall whether
and
you
some
went
holy
into
water.
Mr. Depp's
And a
room as
cross,
far as
a
the bedroom
crucifix
goes?
one.
No.
May the
Do you
power of
recall,
Christ
or no,
compel you.
No, I don't.
You
So
realized
Miss
his house
Howard,
was infested with
just up for
succubuses.
that,
And
there's a photo here with you of what it, yes. Do you
Suck you
recall whether it was there
loaders.
when you arrived in the afternoon? I don't remember seeing it now. So when
No wonder he said drown her before you burn her.
Oh my God.
Your next witness?
Now I know
Witness
why
from
he wanted to
Melanie
drown her.
Iglesias,
Your
and that
next
is
witness
also
lives in
by
Romania.
video.
Is that correct?
That begins with Ms. Vasquez.